I will post
Ooh.
the link for everybody.
Oh, this means we have to do the... I gotta tweet it.
No, you don't have to. I mean...
I'm going to.
Yeah, post it up. Woo!
Alright.
Perfect.
Once my tweeter loads. My tweeter.
Everyone, podcast is now live.
Woo!
Okay. So...
I have to do it from my phone because my internet is being stupid.
Oh, you're
fine. Oh no.
But yeah. I'll retweet.
Retro, Damien, Rick, and SpongeBob all say hi.
Hi.
Stupid.
Oh, you're
Oh
fine.
no.
There.
Alright. And audio is going through on the podcast correctly. So we're all good. As soon as everybody is ready, we can...
Ooh.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Yes. Woo!
Alright.
All of these live suckers get to suffer through all the behind-the-scenes crap that we edit out.
Alright, is everybody ready?
Yes, I am ready. I'm
Alright.
just gonna fix my butt cushion.
I like all of your
I'm just
posters,
retweeting.
by the
Sorry.
way, Lady Pelvic. So you said you wanted to be just referred to as Pelvic?
I'm sorry? Yeah, pelvic, lady pelvic. I'm a simple people. So pelvic, lady, lady.
Alright.
It's all good.
I know a few people on YouTube that refer to be called their username because they don't want people knowing their real name. So I didn't know if that was a situation with you or... So.
It's not an incredible situation. I just like pelvic. Like if I'm online, I just like the persona of pelvic. But...
Yeah. Alright.
Fair enough. Jesse, you're gonna have to start you can't call me Daniel anymore either.
Right.
I'm gonna be Bergerson forever.
King
no,
Bergerson?
please call me Daniel. Daniel works perfectly.
Alright. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Oh, I'm retweeting, sorry.
Alright.
Go ahead.
Alright. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or as you all may know me as Game Over Jesse, and here with me for the very first time on the podcast is our special guest, Lady Pelvic. Go ahead and introduce yourself for those who may not know who you are.
Hello. I'm Lady Pelvic of Pelvic Gaming, and I have a YouTube channel here, Pelvic Gaming, and I do a lot of reviews on JRPGs and platformers, and then I do some top fives, just least favorite things in games, favorite things in certain games, and then I have a Let's Play channel, Pelvic Plays, and I do some convention vlogs when I go to anime nerd conventions, you know. So
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me here. Oh, I'm so excited.
Thank you for joining. You were also at the last E3 as well, weren't you?
Yes, I was. It was my second E3 ever. My first E3 was the Breath of the Wild premiere, you know? I was like, whoa. Where it had all the statues and the girls dressed up as Link and Blue. Oh, it's magical. It's magical.
And you, Daniel,
It's good.
Go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody watching.
Hi, I'm Daniel. You all know me by now, I hope, if you've been watching this channel in the last half a year. I do things sometimes on the internet. You can follow me on Twitter right now. You can open a new tab and do that. It's okay. We'll still be here. It's at Capt Bergerson. And also my Instagram is the same handle. I post pictures of things, and I also work on videos. I have my own YouTube channel, NSHG Films. And really, if you just want to find out everything I do, go to my website, bergersonmedia.com. And that's it. There you go. I'm trying to shorten it.
All right. And
I do too many things.
For everybody watching, we will begin the podcast with a brief interview with Lady Pelvic for those who may not know who she is or know about her YouTube channel. Then we only have two pieces of news, new details on the Super Mario movie from Shigeru Miyamoto, and a rumor that I thought would be fun to talk about concerning a leaked Nintendo E3 lineup, which I think is 99% fake, but speculation is still fun, so it'll be fun to go through, talk about that, and what games we actually think is going to be there. And as always, we will end it with questions from viewers like yourself. And if you want to have your questions answered, you can leave them on the comments for the YouTube video, or if you want to make sure your question gets answered, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can have your questions prioritized among many other rewards. So, this month's Patreon shoutouts. Let's see here. George Martinez, Megan Neal, Casey Willis, Rusty Caulfield, Link Use the Triforce, Tight Lipped Gaming, Robbie Morgan, Shadow to Us, Lovable Christie, Key of Time 15, Lunarium, and our 3 new Patreons, Ashley, Monica, and Michelle. Thank you all for your support. And now, to our special guest, Lady Pelvic.
Is it weird that I'm nervous? I feel nervous.
You should not be nervous at all. Like, I look at the podcast, it's like I have to do professional type stuff sometimes. Like whenever I'm interviewing, or even Daniel for the YouTube channel has interviewed the producer or director of the Zelda Symphony for the Symphony of the Goddess tour. And I had to do the same, and it's like, anytime that we have to do stuff like that, I look at it as like, I'm the least professional person in the world, so it's like, I show up to do something, and I feel someone's expecting, like, a typical person in charge, and it's just me, and I'm like, hey, you want to talk about Zelda?
Great!
Yeah, so, yeah, with your YouTube channel, what inspired you? Well, first off, I guess I should say the reason that I know about your YouTube channel is, and this is also a nice way to give a shout out to one of our favorite channels, or at least mine, Hard for Games, because I was doing a video with Hard for Games, and he mentioned that he was also working on something with you. This was like last year, so it's been a long time, but ever since, he told me to check out your channel. I liked it, and I've wanted to have you on, and the opportunity finally came up, so I'm happy to have you on. So thank you, Hard for Games, for introducing us. And yeah, so for your YouTube channel, what inspired you to start your YouTube channel, and what was it like in the very beginning for you?
What inspired me? I like video games, and I like video editing. Well, I like film. I wouldn't say I particularly like editing, but since then I was like, I'm going to start my own YouTube channel that doesn't require a lot of people, just like me, myself, and I. Something that I'm passionate about, which is video games, and kind of took off from there. And what was it like in the beginning? It was very slow. It was very trial and error. Editing, learning jump cuts, when it's appropriate to edit or like cut, when it's not appropriate, jokes, zooming in, zooming out, different colors, playing with different effects, uploading it, like understanding resolution and aspect ratio. You know, I had 4:3 on like my very, very first video uploaded on like a secret channel, and I was like, why isn't it working? You know, it's 16:9. It's just it was a lot of experimentation, but it was fun though, because people actually saw like, this girl actually has talent. I was very graciously accepted into the YouTube community, as people really were fond of me in the beginning, and still are, thankfully.
And before you started your YouTube channel, did you have experience like writing for a sim website, or was it really your first dive into like the gaming YouTube industry or whatever? Sorry,
can you ask that one more time? My internet got all laggy. I'm sorry, audience.
Oh, it's fine. I was asking...
Oh, can you say it again? My internet's all laggy.
Yeah, before you started your YouTube channel, was that your first experience with like the world of YouTube or video game industry, or however you want to refer to it? Or did you have experience writing on a website or helping with other YouTube channels, or how was it?
Nope, it was my very first. Just dived right in. I had no writing experience, no professional video game experience. I was just a gamer like you and I, you know, just sat on my bed, just played video games like the rest of us. So that's it. I come in here blind.
All right. And do you have any questions for her, Daniel? Anything that you were interested
How did you manage? I was just scoping your channel out because that's what I do when we have guests here. How did you manage to write a review for Breath of the Wild and have it only be 12.5 minutes? That's some concise business.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so hard. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, just, I actually did attempt to write one, and I couldn't. I would not have been able to ever get into that time. Like, when I write, I either it's like 5 minutes or it's like 25 minutes, and it's like pretty much no in between. So, what any tips? What was your thought process here?
I think I write out everything. I make notes of everything, even like minor details, and then I just condense it and like cut it more. I'm sorry? No, I just keep cutting it. That's what you have to do, because the rest of the sure, like my Zelda video was probably 18 minutes before I like kept cutting and cutting away at it. Try to think of like the points that really matter, So yeah, it was rough. It's rough to do that for Wild, Xenogears, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 ended up in the video. I tried so hard to shrink that, but the game is a monster. So yeah, some you win some, you lose some.
All right, with my review on Breath of the Wild, because there's so much in the game to talk about, I went a different route with it than a lot of people, and I just listed 5 of the worst things about Breath of the Wild, which are things that, even though they're the worst parts of Breath of the Wild, they're not really that bad, because the game's getting a 10 out of 10 everywhere, so it's like if there was something seriously wrong with it, then it wouldn't be getting 10s out of 10s. So I listed the 5 worst things and what I thought the 5 best things were. That way I could kind of keep it limited and it wouldn't run on to be like a 20 or a 30-minute video, which I think it ended up being pretty long anyways. But that was the route that I took with it, with my Breath of the Wild review.
I just gave up. I started writing one. I gave up. I couldn't do it. There's too much, and I just, once I get on a roll, as our loyal viewers know, once I get talking about something, I will just keep going. So
it's a never-ending cycle.
All right. So for the future of your YouTube channel, what are your hopes for like the end of this year? Like, where do you see your YouTube channel? What's something that you would like to accomplish with it that you haven't already?
What do I like? Can I name a specific video that I really want to accomplish that I didn't get to accomplish yet?
Yeah.
Or okay, I really, really, really want to do a like top 5 favorite Legend of Zelda bosses and least favorite Legend of Zelda. Like, I really, really want to, but there's a few more Zelda games that I want to finish before I make that list. So I'm gonna try to like get some more Zelda reviews out there and conquer more Zelda bosses, so that way I kind of have the whole spectrum rather than like what I'm limited to what I've played, Right.
So is Koloktos from Skyward Sword on that list? Because that's a great boss.
Which one is that? I don't even remember that boss.
It's like the giant statue one. Yeah, and he's got 6 arms, and then you rip his arm off, and you just beat him to death with his own sword. It's the most fun I've ever had in a boss battle.
To learn. It took me a while to figure out that. I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I saw the sword, I was like, "What am I supposed to do with this sword? Hit him?" Like, I don't know why it didn't click on.
Hit him with it again.
One of my genius moments right there. I was like, "I have a sword, guys." La-di-da.
There's been just a few moments in games where I've just stopped and I've just had to say to myself, like, this is the most fun time, and that was one of them. That and probably the end of Mario Odyssey, which I won't spoil just in case. But
this is good.
But those two, like, those are one of those moments where I just have to stop and I'm like, this went from like really cool to just like, I'm just having a blast of a time. And I think that's something we take for granted when, it's good to stop and appreciate that. So
I agree. And like, that's what I want to accomplish with my top 5 favorite bosses. Like, there are certain bosses in Zelda where I was like, I need a Zelda game that's kind of like the Mario Party games where it's just like that new Mario Party Mini where it's just the mini games. I need a game like that, but just Zelda bosses, so I can just replay Zelda bosses like nobody's business, So it'd be so much fun to do. Zelda has enough bosses, know,
It's
and
true.
especially some of them are revamped. So I think it'd just be fun to, like, Hyrule Warriors did a great job with that, bringing back some like old game or old bosses where I was like, oh snap, like updated graphics, kind of updated play style. I kind of liked it. But, so that's one thing I really want to accomplish on my channel. Some more Zelda content for sure.
All right, right now, what would you say would be your favorite Zelda boss?
Oh, I can't tell you that. That's like the spoilers to my video.
Okay, what's like the number 5 one then?
I don't know what my number 5 one is. I know what my first 3 are for sure, though. And what sucks is because like I'm going to limit it to like not one, or I have to pick one from each game, so that way it's not, you know, all Majora's Mask, because Majora's Mask is the best Zelda. Fight me. So
We're not gonna fight you. We're in that camp too.
Oh my God! Welcome, brothers.
No, we love that game to death. So
great. It's. I know Breath of the Wild is like everyone's favorite right now, but I still have to stand by Majora's Mask. Breath of the Wild, I think, does fantastic. Like, does things amazingly, and even like mechanically, I think it's better. But there's some things about Majora's Mask that Breath of the Wild just doesn't have. You know, like the same dark tone. I really like dark vibes in my games. Majora's Mask is like the darkest Zelda game, so that I've played anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Breath of the Wild had like a dark overtone, but it wasn't as in your face as it was in Majora's Mask. Like, you can go to all of the different areas in Breath of the Wild where it looked like an old town or village, but everything's kind of destroyed, and there's no one there in those villages except for like Kakariko Village or like some of the random people that you can find walking around, but there's no one really there to give a sense of gravity towards what happened. It's just like, oh, this is ruined. There's not a lot of information on exactly what happened, so you kind of just forget about it in the grand scheme of things. Whereas in Majora's Mask, like, you don't see really anything destroyed, but everybody emotionally is devastated. Like, Cafe, or however you want to pronounce his name, is like turned into a little boy. His marriage is ruined. Everyone's afraid of like the moon coming closer, and it's supposed to lead up to, like, the end of the third day is supposed to be not just like a wedding where everyone attends and it's like the best day of these two people's lives, but it's also on the same day that they're having their celebration for what's it called? I forgot.
The Carnival of Time.
The Carnival of Time. So they're having like this huge celebration. There's a wedding taking place. There's all this stuff going on, and it's supposed to be the happiest day for them of the entire year, and it ends up being one of the worst. So it's like all of these things tying in to make it bad. But when you look around, you don't really see any of the negative stuff going on. It's when you talk to the people, and I think that gives a lot more weight to it than just seeing a place completely destroyed like in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Well, also,
like,
part of it
everything
is
is just tragic.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Part of it also is that with Breath of the Wild, it was like a tragedy that occurred 100 years ago, and they're recovering from that. And with Majora's Mask, it is like impending doom, which is kind of worse because there's like a dread, like you're leading up to the end of the world. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, that already happened, and like obviously everyone survived and moved on. You know, it was tragic. There was a calamity that occurred, and lots of people died, and yeah. But yeah, with Majora's Mask, like, you don't know what's going to happen. All you know is that the moon's coming, and it's getting closer, and it's that sort of lead up. It's that dread that's being built constantly throughout the 3-day cycle. And it also helps that, like, everywhere you go in the game, you can see the moon, you know, coming down. So, which they had a kind of similar thing with Breath of the Wild, where close to everywhere you can see Hyrule Castle with Calamity Ganon, but it doesn't have this, like, it's not the same gravitas, you know. It's so yeah, it's a similar idea, but based on like sort of where Link is placed in the timeline of those events. I would definitely say Majora's Mask is a little more intense in that regard. So
yeah.
Go Team Majora.
So, all right, I'm glad you guys, like, we all agree.
Yes.
So
Still love Breath of the Wild, but
this might be an obvious question, but Lady Pelvic, before we move on to the news, if anyone wanted to follow you on Twitter or check out your YouTube channel, what would they type in to kind of find you?
Oh, for YouTube, just Pelvic Gaming. For Twitter, Lady Pelvic is my handle. For Instagram, it's also Lady Pelvic. And Facebook, it's Pelvic Gaming. I know, I set this thing up terribly. We have 2 Lady Pelvics and 2 Pelvic Gamings. I'm already in this, you know what I mean? So I'm like, this is my life now. So
I think I got lucky with my username being free everywhere. So like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everything's Game Over Jesse. So yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah. Well, I think it worked out because I was one of my biggest inspirations was someone a lot of people probably know now, but Greg Miller, who his username Game Over Greggy, he is now in Kinda Funny, but he used to be like the main host of IGN before he quit. And he was one of the first people that I actually had on my YouTube channel before he started Kinda Funny. So I think I got lucky because I was able to, even though he was popular from IGN, he hadn't really made a huge name for himself because he was just looked at as like the IGN video host at that point. But now he has his own YouTube channel with like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So he's a bit more popular now. But at the time, I don't think there was too many people that was a huge fan of him like I was. Maybe. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But do you know who I'm talking about? Greg Miller, IGN, Kinda Funny.
Oh, I know who he is, yes. Like, I don't know him super well, but I definitely know exactly who you're talking about.
Well, for everybody watching that hasn't heard the story, that's I messed up that word. The inspiration for my YouTube channel. Alright, so moving on to our first piece of news. Shigeru Miyamoto, and this comes from Go Nintendo. It says, Shigeru Miyamoto shares more info on how the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Animated movie came to be. Go Nintendo says, during their financial briefing, Nintendo confirmed a long-standing rumor. They are teaming with Illumination Studios to create a Super Mario Bros. Animated movie. Shigeru Miyamoto and Chris Meledandri, I hope I pronounced that right, of Illumination will be co-producing the film, and Miyamoto opened up a bit more on how the project came to be. And then some of the details include Miyamoto has been considering an animated movie for many years. He says creating games and movies aren't really that similar. Interactive and passive media are very different, so if he wanted to make a movie, he'd like to have a movie expert work on it. While meeting with many movie directors and producers, he was introduced to Illumination by Universal Parks and Resorts. I think that's a tie-in to they're supposed to have like Nintendo Land or Nintendo Kingdom at the Universal Parks.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. So I'm glad to see that the movie kind of spun out of that. So that's always cool.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah. It continues. Meledandri, again, I hope I pronounced that right, revealed that he had read Miyamoto's interviews and said that the ways they create are similar. The two ended up having a mutual understanding and eventually said that they should do something together. Meledandri is focused on making the film with a reasonable cost and deadline in order for it to be a success. Miyamoto has felt that if they couldn't make something interesting, then it would be better to quit. They've already had multiple meetings for the screenplay, so the project has actually progressed very far. So we haven't had you on here at all before, Lady Pelvic. I want to call you Miss Pelvic for some reason. So, anyways,
that's fine. Call me Miss Pelvic. I'll take it. No problem.
Well, one of the guests that we were supposed to have on earlier was Miss Click Gaming, if you know who she is. So it's like, I think where I was expecting to have her on and now I have you, it's the Miss part.
I've heard of her.
She does a lot of really cool Nintendo-based live streams with like Zelda and some other games. So if you want to check her out, please do. Everybody in the chat, check her out as well. She may actually pop in the chat. She usually comes in during the Q&A and talks. But yeah, what are your overall thoughts on this movie? Because a lot of people think that because the last Mario movie was so terrible.
Infamously.
Yeah, like it may just be where I watched it when I was a kid.
What
I
was
loved
the last
Mario.
Mario movie?
It was the Super Mario Bros. Movie with
from the 80s.
Was it Bob Hoskins?
Yeah, Bob Hoskins.
Oh,
and
we're talking about the live action.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Okay. I thought like something like recent happened in the last 5 years. I was like, when did a Mario movie happen? Okay. We talk about the 80s. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's different than like an animated movie versus a live. It's always kind of strange to me when they try to take like cartoony characters and make it live action. Like a live action Pokemon is weird to me. Live action Dragon Ball Z is weird to me. Live action Death Note is weird to me. Like I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. I just like live action Sailor Moon. The same camp. It comes out campy. You know what I mean? Like when Sailor Moon is doing some like her transformation. Can you imagine like a live action? It looks weird to me. So to see, I'm happy they're going animated this route. Like I'm so happy they're sticking to bless up for that one. I'm excited as long as they keep it animated, and I think it'd be fun to see like classic like Mario moves, like Mario sound effects, Mario, like if they took like certain Mario memes, like if there was just a racing scene, whatever, Ganon and Mario, or Ganon, oh my god.
Too much Zelda talk.
I know. If like Bowser and Mario were like racing and then Luigi like comes in and gives them like a mean look, like some kind of, I think it'd be really fun if they played off those memes, just like constant different references. I think would just be, I think especially, or if they had, what is it, like Nintendo Kingdom? What's that little Me Kingdom? Me something? Me Nintendo Land? Something like if they had that. Oh, not Miitomo. It's the Nintendo Land. Am I crazy? Where there's Mii's and there's just a bunch of mini games.
Oh yeah, Nintendo Land.
Oh yeah,
but they're like Zelda related mini games.
That is Zelda. Yeah, that is Nintendo Land. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so like if they incorporated that and if they just had, I think it'd be a lot of fun. Like, I think, and of course have like the classic platforming, like just classic Mario stuff. Just Mario. Give us Mario. As long as they don't deviate from like a fun, just a fun kind of child-friendly humor, If they want to slip in the occasional like low-key adult joke that only like, the adults, the big boys and big girls will get, that's fine by me too. But just I think they'll do good. Yeah. I have faith.
See, the problem with the last Mario movie and even some of the cartoons that they had for Mario and Zelda and stuff is back then they didn't really have that much of a story. And even right here, in some of these details, it says, what is it? That like Miyamoto thought that making a movie and a game would be very different from each other, and I think that is based off of, you always hear interviews and stuff where Miyamoto says that they always focus on story last. They focus on gameplay first, and then they kind of write in the story to tie together all of the different gameplay mechanics and dungeons and stuff that they make. But in movies, obviously it is story based, because that's like there is no gameplay or anything like that. So, but then there are games like Uncharted or The Last of Us that are mostly story based, where it feels like you're playing through a movie. But with most of Nintendo's games, they always say that they come up with the story towards the end. And a long time ago, like in the first Zelda or the first Mario games, there weren't any real story aspects. It was like, oh, your princess is in another castle. Like, that's it. Bowser, like, just literally Bowser kidnapped the princess, or in Zelda, Ganon kidnapped the princess. Like, two very similar stories. So whenever they made that, they didn't have much to work off of in terms of lore or an understanding of who the characters are, because there had only been like 1, 2, maybe 3 games by the time that movie came out and by the time those cartoons were made. And Nintendo didn't have much to do with like any aspects of it. It was just, oh, someone wants to give us $2 million to make a movie for Mario. Let's sell them the rights to it. So that's basically what it was. And Miyamoto and all of these other people didn't really care, because they didn't think that it would be that, I think they said something like they didn't think it would be that much of a success, and they didn't think it would like hurt, or it wouldn't be, whether the movie was good or bad, it wouldn't affect the game sales at all, so they weren't worried about the movie in any way. They just kind of put it out there, or the cartoons, and let people do what they wanted with it. But now where Miyamoto is a direct producer on it, and we even seen Bowser show up in, what was it? Wreck-It Ralph. Bowser had a cameo in Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, yeah,
he did.
So it's like,
yes, he
Miyamoto
did.
is being, like, they're being very lenient with their characters, which is really great. We've seen a lot of third-party crossovers come out, like the Ubisoft Mario Cross Rabbids, Hyrule Warriors, and some others. A long time ago, they partnered with Capcom a lot for like Minish Cap and some of the other Zelda games.
Yep.
So it's really nice to see them doing that again.
My game.
So I think I first heard the Mario rumor, or like there was going to be a Mario movie, when I think it was around the same time that the Zelda Netflix TV show rumor was coming out, if you guys remember it.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mario came about because whenever Sony had all of their emails leaked, there was some emails from Nintendo with Sony talking about doing the Mario animated movie together. But it looks like they've ended up going with Universal Studios instead of Sony, which whenever I seen the Sony emails, I thought it was kind of odd because it's like Sony and PlayStation, and then you have Nintendo. They're kind of rivals in the gaming industry. So maybe like it doesn't seem like it would work out for them to partner on something, considering the last partnership they had ended with them like doing the CDI instead of the Sony or the Nintendo PlayStation. So I thought it was really odd whenever I seen that there was emails between Nintendo and Sony talking, because it's like, wouldn't it be like, I don't know, like it seems like Nintendo wouldn't, or not Nintendo, but Sony wouldn't put that much effort into it, because they're like, why would we want to help Nintendo games sell when we could just make an Uncharted movie or something to push our own games? So I thought that was odd, but yeah, what are your thoughts on all of this?
I didn't even know that leaked.
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago. It was like people was like
2 months ago.
Oh, it was like 2 years
a bit ago,
I believe.
Yeah.
It was when all of the leaked emails from Sony came out, and there was like a bunch of stuff about why the Amazing Spider-Man series only had 2 movies and got canceled, and like there was they were talking about doing a crossover between like Men in Black and 21 Jump Street. So like there's just like a bunch of random stuff in the emails, but one of the stuff that was leaked was Nintendo was talking to them about doing a Mario movie, which a lot of people was like, that'll never happen. That was probably just like, hey, what if we did this? And that was all. So I'm glad to see that it's finally happening. And with Miyamoto working on it, like I expect it to at least be good, because I don't think, like if it ended up looking bad in any way, I think Miyamoto would just be like, hey, let's, like the movie's halfway done, it's not looking good, we can either start over or just cancel it, because Nintendo cancels enough of their own games whenever they're like halfway done and they're not looking good. Like there's been several Mario and Zelda games been canceled that if they would have sold, Nintendo would have made millions of dollars, but Nintendo just decided to cancel them. So I think it's the same with this. Like if the movie ends up looking bad, they'll start it over, take it in another direction, or just not do it. So
yeah, and it mentions in the article too that Miyamoto says he felt that if they couldn't make something interesting, they would just be better off quitting. Which I actually really respect that, because we don't want a crappy Mario movie if they make it, right? So yeah, and I think they would just.
The only thing that worries me about it is the other producer, Melodontre, said that he was focused on making it at a reasonable cost and with a deadline. And Nintendo's infamous for delaying stuff until it ends up being good. So I don't know exactly, like if they have a set deadline and they're not putting that much money in it, then this movie should be made relatively quickly. But with Nintendo, it's like they don't ever make anything quickly. It's like 5 years for the next big Zelda game to come out. So I hope that doesn't conflict with anything, because if you hear about, like, he's basically saying, hey, we're not going to put that much money into it. That way no matter how much it sells or how well it does, it'll still be positive financially. We'll still make money back. But so it's like they're not putting that much money into it, and they have a deadline for it. So I don't know if that's going to be a negative for the movie, but yeah, I've been going on for like 10 minutes on this. I apologize. So yeah, Daniel, what are your overall thoughts on all of this?
Well, like, kind of like Pelvic here said, I'm really glad they're going the animated route with it. I can't imagine them even trying to approach a live-action Mario movie again. Like, so they're kind of better off.
Who would even play
I don't know.
live-action Mario right
now? My concern though is if they don't have Charles Martinet.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I don't know. If they don't have Charles Martinet voice him, yeah, I'm gonna give up on life. I'm just gonna just tug myself into bed and never get up because he is the voice of Mario. So it's it would be really jarring to hear someone else be Mario. Yeah. So I can't imagine them going a different route. It'll also, I don't know, be kind of weird to have Mario as a main character for a movie, because that would mean he would have probably a much larger speaking role, which is not Mario's forte.
You know what I think they'll probably
just fell off, fell down.
What I think they would do is, in this case, so Mario wouldn't have to speak a lot, is give him like some sort of companion, like Cappy. You know what I mean?
That could work.
Yeah.
But then see, with a movie, like with a game, that works. But with a movie, it might feel
any kind of companion. They would.
Yeah. I can see them making
a
companion that would. We just keep going at the same time.
Go ahead. Go.
No. Yeah, like that works for a game. Like we've seen that a lot. Like you've got Navi, you've had, Ezla, you've had Cappy, you've had Fi, you've had Midna, you've had pretty much any companion character in a Nintendo game is like your speaking role, right? Pretty much any.
Like, I don't mean to interrupt you, but whenever you said Fi or Fee, it's like because the thing that most people read whenever Fi speaks is like your batteries are going dead. So it would be I just imagine the movie being like, Master, there are 30 minutes until the credits for this movie, or like the remotes in your battery only have 10% left.
Oh my goodness.
You've been watching this movie.
That would be clever though, in a Zelda game.
Yeah.
But then, oh my god, that drove me bananas. That drove me crazy in Link Between Worlds. Oh my god, I wanted to break that bird. Okay.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Don't tell me when to quit playing.
Like, don't tell me to take a break. Don't you want me to play your game?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, let me freaking enjoy this.
But yeah, with the movie, it might feel a little more shoehorned to have like your companion character that does like all the talking versus having your main protagonist be the speaking role. So, I'm sure they'll work it out to make it not feel too janky, but I don't know. That's just that's my main concern, I think. Otherwise, I feel optimistic about it, I guess because I'm an optimistic guy mostly, unless we're talking about Zelda mobile games, I'm optimistic. So that's the only time I'm not. Just especially because they said, they'd be better to quit if it wasn't interesting. So I feel like if it releases, that means at least that they feel it's good enough. And I know that they have a high standard of quality for their international with the words for their IPs. They have a very high bar to meet, right? When they let someone external come in and handle those properties. So I feel good about it, I guess.
Right, here's the question I have. Pelvic, do you think there's going to be a go-kart cameo in this movie? Like, if they have to go somewhere, they're going to jump in a go-kart to get there?
There better be.
Hell yeah.
There's so better.
Hell yeah. I want it. I would love just different cameos from different Mario games. Like, if there was, a Mario, a DDR section for Mario, I would die. Because I love DDR. I bought the DDR Mario game. I'm not saying, make a whole hoopla about it, but just a little segment, just a little, a Mario golf segment. Mario bat, just key poses he does, or or sounds that were like exclusive to the golf games or the soccer, strikers. Just like small head nods, paying homage, to the different branches of Mario. I would absolutely love it if they did the same thing as they did with Odyssey. Like they have the 3D worlds, and then like you go into the retro, you go inside the wall essentially and do the whole retro bit. That would be amazing. You know what I mean? Like just incorporate different things from Mario and overall and put it into one giant thing. Jump into paintings, bring it back to 64, bring back the Baam King. You know what I mean? Like bring it back. So I think that would be bring back the Evil Sun. That's what I want.
Sun.
Oh my! They brought. I would lose it. I would lose it if they brought that back.
Yeah.
But
Personally,
anyways,
I think it would be hilarious if like whatever. I assume this is going to be Mario, Luigi, maybe Toad, or someone else helping them along the way. But mostly they're going to be heading towards Bowser's castle to save Princess Peach or whoever the princess is in this movie, because there's a few different princesses that they could use. But I would really love it if like maybe 10-15 minutes into the movie, like similar to when everyone's leaving the Shire in Lord of the Rings, like whenever the adventure first begins, they like set out on their path or whatever. So whenever Mario and Luigi first set on their path, it would be funny if like they seen a castle off in the distance, like just really far away, and they're like talking about heading there, and then someone's like, no, that's wrong, that's the wrong direction, that's Hyrule, you gotta go this way. Like
like little
Hyrule
cameos.
Castle. Yeah, just like a teeny tiny reference to Zelda or something else, like
Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
I would love the barrel, like a barrel scene. That's just iconic. You don't,
Even if it's just tucked in the background somewhere, and they're walking through somewhere, and there's just the DK barrel just tucked in the background.
Yeah, or like
even just details,
If they're wandering through like a forest or the woods, and they're like, "Oh, we're getting lost." Like even something like that could be like a tiny nod to like the Legend of Zelda or something, because like the Lost Woods. So like it doesn't have to be anything big.
Right. I have faith. Like I really hope they pull like all the stops, and just anyone who's been a longtime Mario fan could just always just kind of go through, watch it multiple times and find something new, at every time they watch. So I think it's going to be good.
And I think
it's going to be great.
Miyamoto,
yeah, and then, they put they literal Easter eggs in the games enough. So like, why not do it in the movie in a controlled environment like that? Sorry, Jesse, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I don't think Miyamoto would be the one that would want to do that. Like, he would probably want it to be, like, just strictly Mario and maybe references to other Mario stuff. But with Universal and the producer of the Mario movie, because, like, if the Mario movie does well, then obviously they would want to do, like, a sequel or even explore possibly, like, Metroid or Zelda, some other Nintendo franchises. So to sort of open that up, I could see the producers and the people from Universal wanting to put in some of this references to the other stuff, because then if they do make a Zelda movie or a Metroid movie in the future, they could bring back some of those references made in Mario. So like, just expanding the world a little bit was something that I could see Universal or the people working on the movie from there wanting to do, because all it would do is push more feedback for some of those other movies aside from Mario. Because if someone, like if there is a Zelda reference in the Mario movie, then it would have a lot of the fans talking like, hey, does this mean we're going to be getting a Zelda movie? We want to see, like the Mario movie was so good, it would be really awesome to see a Zelda movie of this quality as well. And maybe that fan feedback or that reaction from that tiny little Easter egg in the movie could tempt Nintendo to be like, oh, well, since the Mario movie did do good or do well, and then the fans are saying they want Zelda or they want Metroid or whatever else, maybe that would be that little extra push that they would need to start on like whatever the Zelda series would be, whether it would be a movie or a Netflix series or something like that. Did you guys see Netflix had a series for Castlevania, the animated series?
So good.
On Netflix.
So good.
I haven't watched it.
Like
so good.
Yeah, when I was watching it, because it is sort of mature rated, I think it's mature rated. It's really good for the Castlevania series, but I was watching it thinking, if the same team worked on something Nintendo related, what could it be? And I would love to see, like, obviously it wouldn't be
Zelda.
like R-rated because, you know, Nintendo, but maybe like a PG-13 Metroid or Star Fox is what I was thinking. So, but if they worked on Zelda, I'm sure it would be good. But just the style of the Castlevania made me think Metroid for some reason. Maybe because they're both like this similar genres. Everyone, you know, refers to like the Metroidvania style. So maybe that's why I was thinking Metroid.
You know, so since we're talking about like animated films and stuff, you remember when they did, like, in order to showcase the Icarus woman? I'm not familiar with that series, but the goddess chick, green hair. Remember how they did the studio who did Puella Madoka Magica? They did that animated kind of like Link versus Kid Icarus versus Palutena, like all that. Like, that would be so awesome if they like fleshed that out. I would have been about that. I thought the animation was awesome. It looked good. It was fluid.
I don't think I remember.
Like
that.
even people.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh yes,
it came out around Smash 4. It came out for Smash 4's release, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was cool.
You didn't see that? Oh, it was amazing. It was bomb. I'm surprised you haven't seen that, Jesse. What happened?
Yeah. Somewhat related. You mentioned Star Fox, and it got me thinking about when Star Fox Zero came out. There was that little animated short that was basically just the intro and the first level of the game, but as like an animated short instead of a game. And it was really cool, actually, and it works better with Star Fox, I think, because like they're already characters that speak a lot, unlike Link or Mario. But you know, if they did like a series of that, it's super campy, but it was a fun time, so I'd like to see more of that at some point. They might not, because Star Fox Zero didn't sell terribly well, but it would still be cool. I don't know, we got Pikmin shorts, we can get anything, so I love Pikmin, just to clear that up if anyone thinks I'm hating.
The thing is, like, you mentioned that the Star Fox Zero didn't sell that well, but like even the games that did sell really well, because they were bringing a lot of the Wii U ports over to Switch, and a lot of people thought that it makes sense because a lot of the people that maybe didn't have a chance to play the game on Wii U, now everyone's buying a Switch, so they have more of a chance. But they released the full sales numbers like about a week ago for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And they compared it to Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, and it sold like half, I think it said like half as many people that bought a Wii U bought the Mario Kart 8. And then it sold just almost as many on the Nintendo Switch. So it's like even games that did sell really well, like they're still selling really well on the Switch, which makes me happy because that means a lot of people are buying it twice. And then with games that didn't do well or as well, like Hyrule Warriors or like the Yoshi game that was on the Wii U, they're making another Yoshi game for the Switch. So like there's a lot of stuff on the Wii U that are like they deserve to be played by a lot more people. So I'm happy that it's coming to the Switch. So I hope they do something with Star Fox Zero or like another sequel to it or something. I hope it doesn't.
Well, like Tropical Freeze as well is another one that they've just announced for Switch, and that game is just off the walls brilliant. Oh god. But you know, like you mentioned, people buying it twice. I did not buy it twice. Sorry.
I'm with you. I guess I understand why people are rebuying things on the Switch, considering the Wii U didn't do so well. Plus, some people like to buy it more, or like buy it and like play it again. Because I retired my Wii U. Sadly I put it away. I have my Switch. That's like where my heart's at right now. But I understand why they're doing it. I'm a little upset, I have to admit, for Hyrule Warriors, for example. Like, I bought all the DLC. I did not buy the 3DS version, but I do feel like it was a kick in the balls to be like, hey, we're releasing like the deluxe edition, Hyrule Warriors edition, whatever, with all the DLC included after I bought the Wii U. After I bought the Wii U DLC, and then if you bought the 3DS version, I was kind of like, really, guys? Like,
I think the 3DS version should have been
I
discounted by
a little bit, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So
But see, like, I might buy Hyrule Warriors on Switch because I had the base game, but I didn't buy any of the DLC. And there's so much DLC for that game. If like you had bought it all, it doesn't make sense to buy it all again. But like for me, like there's so much there that it costs a lot to buy all that DLC. I might as well just get the definitive edition.
And that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Right.
But with Mario Kart, I bought the game and I bought all the DLC, and I'm like, well, I don't want to buy do it all over again, So I never got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, despite Jesse saying that it was worth it. So yeah, so exactly,
switched,
like vice versa. So yeah, I'm with you.
I didn't buy the deluxe. I didn't even buy the DLC. I was like, nope, I'm good. I mean, I hope it does well. Like, it did do well. It did phenomenal. You know what I mean? I just all these ports. I'm like, I have Bayonetta 1 and 2. I have Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. I have Hyrule Warriors. I have all this. So for me, it was kind of like, But again, the Wii U didn't do so well, so everyone like flocked to it and was like, woo, oh my god, ports and stuff. So more power to you.
I don't think Funky Kong is enough for me to want to spend $60 again on this game. It's so good, but I already have it, so I can go back to it already, right?
Yeah, but man, let me tell you, that game was brutal. That was my first Donkey Kong game, and I almost want to say it's my first. I know I played it on the Nintendo 64, but man, holy crap!
That's what's good about it. I like it when a game kicks me in the nads. It sounds masochistic,
it kicked my ass, dude. Oh my god, it is. I believe if you like that game, you're a masochist. I really do, because it's a great game. It is a phenomenal game. Don't get it twisted. It is phenomenally designed. It keeps you on your toes. I mean, I remember being like, holy shit. Like, there wasn't a moment's time where I could, like, rest. When you get to, like, the later levels, like, everything was coming after you. There was tornadoes. There was different animals. There were spiky vines. Snowflakes hurt you.
It's like...
Forest fire, lava. I mean, like, I was like, what is going on? Like, when you're going on the rail tracks, things, like, go up and down. So you think you have to jump, but really, you have to jump to the other. I mean, it was just madness. And I was like, this game is so damn good. But it was so damn frustrating.
Yeah. It's like the Dark Souls for platformers.
God damn.
Oh, it is. It totally is. You're going to be hearing that balloon pop a lot. Yeah, but that's what I love. I love, like... Because when you get through it, then you're just like, it's like, yes, like, it's one of those games where every time you beat a level, you've been like trying it over and over, and you just throw your arms in the air because you're so happy you beat it, and it just feels good, mate. Feels good. I'm like an adrenaline junkie for Donkey Kong.
So true.
All
right, before we move to our...
It's true. I will believe that when you beat a level in Donkey.
Sorry, what were you gonna say? Finish what you were saying.
Oh no, I was agreeing with him. Okay. Like that Donkey Kong is a game where you will always feel satisfied after every level. Hands down.
I was going to say, before we move on to our second and final piece of news, a little bit of trivia that I found out a few days ago, which I posted on Twitter. You said that one of your favorite Zelda games was Majora's Mask.
Yeah, my favorite Zelda game.
Did you play Wind Waker as well?
Yes.
How did you feel about it?
That's one of my... It's like top 3. Okay,
loved it. Oh, okay.
Top 3. It's like
I'm liking you more and more as we go on.
Did you ever play...
Yay!
Link's crossbow training for the Wii?
No. I did not.
But you are aware
Number one
of it?
Zelda game.
I did not.
You are aware of it, though?
I'm aware that it exists.
Okay.
It's a thing that they created and put out for consumer consumption, yes.
Now, are you,
11 out of 10. Best Zelda game.
If I'm remembering this correctly, I may have the numbers swapped for the games, but what if I told you that Link's crossbow training sold 2 million more copies than Majora's Mask and 1 million more copies than Wind Waker?
Lol. it honestly makes sense because the Wii was like a powerhouse for sales. Like everybody and their grandma had a Wii, right? And then Twilight Princess was the best-selling Zelda game till Breath of the Wild. So it makes sense, but it is also a tragedy at the same time.
I was looking at a list of how well all of the Zelda games did, and it had like I think it was
I was
Link's
told that
crossbow
list
training.
too. Yes.
Link's crossbow training was at like 6 million, and then Majora's Mask was at like 4 million. And I was like, it kind of makes sense because Majora's Mask released like right before the GameCube came out, so a lot of people was moving on for the GameCube. That's why games like Conker's Bad Fur Day didn't sell as well, and they cost more because they came out like at the very end of the Nintendo 64. But the GameCube was coming out, so it makes sense that it didn't sell as well as like Ocarina of Time or whatever. But it was just so weird seeing that it sold more than some of these other games that are held as, in such high regard as like some of the best Zelda games. And it's like, Link's crossbow training? Really? Like the spin-off that you had to buy?
I know.
Like, they had that crazy attachment for it, so...
People,
it is actually fun, but it's definitely like a time sinker, not really like a Zelda game that you're gonna like sit down and binge play.
Yeah,
so
looking at it now, it feels like a beta version of the Nintendo Land Zelda thing that they have, because they both have you shooting the arrows at the targets and stuff. So, like,
well, thanks for that piece of information.
Yes.
Ruin my day.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, our second piece of news comes from videogamecultureheadquarters.com, and it is possibly a 99% fake rumor of Nintendo's E3 lineup leaked, and Skyward Sword HD will be shown at E3. It says... Update, it turns out that this... Okay, so there's an update saying that it turns out it was someone impersonating someone who was a leaker. But I still want to talk about some of the games listed, because the whole point of this wasn't necessarily the games that they talk about, but more of what we would like to personally see at E3. So we can still go through this and talk about it. They have... I guess we don't have to give any of the details because, or who the person was, because it was someone pretending to be a leaker. But they have Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon, 2 versions of the 8th generation game, Bayonetta 3, Pikmin 4, Skyward Sword HD, and then they have, like, in quotes, HD remake of the Wii game. And I'm like, what else would it be? Like, everybody knows. Yeah, Super Mario.
It's an HD remake of the re-release of the eShop version of the Wii U release of Skyward Sword. Don't you know?
But it's like any time that I see details and stuff like this, where like they go into extreme detail, I'm like, how would they? Like, why would they put that detail? But then like the last thing that they have down here, it says new unknown IP, and it's like, how would you know? Like, you give a lot of detail about one thing and then no detail about another, which was what pointed out to me saying it was fake. And like he said, he came across this list because he was working at a factory or something, putting together all of the stands and stuff that Nintendo has at E3. And he said this was his list. And it's like, if there was a new unknown IP from Retro Studios, which is what he has listed, the name of that game would likely be on it. Like, you wouldn't know that it was a game developed by Retro Studios if it didn't have the name attached to it. Like, you would know the name before you would know the developer. So, anyways, moving on from Bayonetta 3, it has Pikmin 4th, and then again, weird details, 4th game of the Pikmin series. It's like...
Are you sure? Actually, Pikmin 4 would be the 5th game of the Pikmin series because of Hey Pikmin.
Oh, Hey Pikmin.
The abomination I never bought.
Yeah. So,
was it bad?
Actually, I have no idea. I never played it, but I just saw the trailers and I was like, nope.
Is it out yet? I don't know. Okay, well there you go. All right, I don't follow Pikmin very well, so. All right. Moving on. Sorry.
Yeah. Skyward Sword HD, Super Mario Maker 2, Smash Bros. For Switch, and then again, the ultimate version of Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U with new major contents and all DLC included, which is something a lot of people thought was going to happen anyway. Luigi's Mansion 3, which I would really love to see. WarioWare, Animal Crossing, another game that people are expecting. Fire Emblem. I think they already announced Fire Emblem. And then Yoshi, Mario Party 11, which has a weird detail saying the 11th game of the Mario Party series. We're also showcasing Nintendo Switch tech developed by Gamecube.
No way!
Ending with Retro Studios. And it's like, it feels like, I don't want to be mean to the person, but then he's like pretending to be someone anyway, so I guess it's okay to kind of be mean, but from this list, it's like a very passionate 10-year-old Nintendo fan.
Yeah.
Is who seems
now there is like a tiny 0.2% chance that this is a real news, but it's so small of a chance that it's just so tiny.
But it's like I thought it was funny the details that he was given. Like, it's Mario Party 11, the 11th game in the series, and then it's like, well, they just had the Mario Party 100. So then it's like,
which would make it the 12th game.
So it's like he goes into detail on some of the stuff to like try to explain what it is, like giving unnecessary detail, and then the detail isn't even that accurate. So it's like,
well, and also Mario Maker 2, it's a sequel, not a port. Also, how would you know that from setting up the display stands? And also, if it's called Mario Maker 2, not like Mario Maker HD or Mario Maker Deluxe, then obviously it's a sequel and not a port.
Because they did Metroid Prime 4, and they didn't state this is the 4th game in the series.
Because it would be like the 7th game. There's like Prime Hunters, Federation Force. We can't forget Metroid Prime Pinball, the most important game in the Metroid Prime franchise.
What was that for?
I think it was the DS.
DS, okay. I was thinking
it's very important
for some reason.
Especially if you're trying to figure out the timeline. It has a lot of backstory for Samus's childhood, and no, I'm just making stuff up. So it's pinball.
There was a Timon and Pumbaa game for the Super Nintendo that had a pinball mini game that I would always play. So.
Wait a second. I think I had this game. I think I had a Timon and Pumbaa game.
Yeah. All right. So, Miss Lady Pelvic, what are your overall thoughts on some of these games? Like, what do you think, looking at this? Is there anything that you think is just ridiculous or anything that you would actually like to see? Because as much as I would love Skyward Sword HD, I would really love Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch.
I'm with you there. Out of this list, what I really want, I want Bayonetta 3, which we're getting. Just a matter of when. Luigi's Mansion 3, I would be skeptical of. Like, I want it, but like Luigi's Mansion, like the first game was awesome. The second game was like, I thought it was garbage. I did not like the second game. So hopefully we can go back to how the first game was.
Why didn't you like the second game?
I just wasn't as spooked as I was in the first one. Like the first one, okay, so I don't do horror games, right? So like Luigi's Mansion was like baby's first like real horror game, right? Like holy shit, like I actually got scared. I am a huge chicken shit. Like I can't play Last of Us. I got too scared. I can't play BioShock. I barely made it through Life is Strange. I don't know. I almost quit that game. I couldn't. It's freaking me out. So just to give you an
Life
idea.
Is Strange spooked you?
Yeah.
Why? Like, why? That's...
Yeah. Chapter 5. Yeah.
Okay.
You should play Resident Evil.
You have to go down. Spoilers. But like, no. Like Fatal Frame, you can't get me to play that game. I watched what's the girl? There's this girl in a red dress. Dead? Fear. Like she has like the grudge kind of hair. She's in a red dress. Anyone know what I'm talking about? But my friend made me watch him play that. I had nightmares that night. I did not. But like Fatal Frame, I could never play. I could never. Like Fatal Frame, ever living, because like it forces you to come in contact with these horrific creatures. I watched my friend play Dead Space. My friend and I, we did a whole Let's Play on Dead Space on his channel. Not okay. He played it. I did not. I was screaming. I was freaking out. I had like he's the type
demo for PlayStation.
Hell no.
Oh.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
But I watched it. It wasn't okay. There was a refrigerator. There was someone screaming. You saw a man. There was a baby in there's roaches. I don't do roaches are like my least favorite bug. There was just all sorts of nope in that demo for me. So absolutely, there's a girl who like looks at you. She has I can't. No, sir.
Okay, so of the games that you actually made it through playing, I want to know what was the scariest thing that like spooked you the most out of any game? I gotta know. Just off the top of your head.
Out of that I've played?
Yeah, that you actually made it through.
Oh, that I made it through? Yeah, probably Life is Strange or Luigi's Mansion.
That was it. Oh man. Whenever people talk about like scary parts of games, my thought is this one part in Resident Evil 4 that just like freaks the hell out of me.
People
there's
in
like
the
a
chat
hallway
are saying Fallout and Five Nights at Freddy's for their scary
games.
Five Nights at Freddy's is garbage. I'm sorry,
no, it's not.
Friends.
It's terrifying.
It's trash.
It's
the thing is, it pops. It's just a jump scare.
All right, so is this what you were talking about, Pelvic? Super Essence in the chat.
That's my problem. Jump scares are not okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to...
So Super Essence in the chat
thought you were going to pop up a...
Yo, that Life is Strange bit where the world unravels and she has to avoid people and escape the universe was spooky. So was that what you were talking about?
No, but that also scared the shit out of me.
Oh, man.
No, I'm talking about where you're in a hallway and it's all dark. There's candles because person X
always
dies,
a dark hallway.
Maybe if you don't save them. It's always a dark hall. And like, you guys don't understand how much of a chicken. I called my friend who's played it. I was like, is anything going to come out? Like, I called him. I was like, yo, Chad, is anything going to pop out at me at this scene? I was not joking. I called all my friends. I like fact checked. I like made sure I talked to multiple friends to make sure like they all said the same story. You understand if I walked down that hallway. Girl was not just I don't do horror. I don't do jump scares well. I handle it poorly. I am so bad at it.
Movies?
Oh, your girl does not watch scary movies. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No. You know what's weird though? You know what gets me? It's the suspense and jump scares. I don't do thrillers very well. I don't like suspense because it eats me alive. I pretend I'm the character. I pretend like I'm walking down the hallway. I feel like I'm going to get jumped. I feel like I'm going to get shanked, eaten, stabbed, whatever. You know what I mean? I can't do that. What I can't but it's funny because I like gore. Gore doesn't faze me at all. I could watch gore all day, every day. But so like it's when they creep up.
But
Saw's fine. Like I'll cringe. I'll be like, oh, gross, but I can watch it. Horror, when something jumps at me, like The Grudge or The Ring, absolutely not. Not okay. No.
Interesting.
The more you
Learn
know.
something.
All right.
This is fun.
Continuing on the list.
I'm sorry.
No.
So yeah, you learned something about me. So yeah, Bayonetta 3, Luigi's Haunted Mansion. I would really like it. Animal Crossing. I could go for another Animal Crossing because I have New Leaf. You know, I didn't care for the Happy Home designer bit.
Oh, I'm terrified. Like there's.
And then sure, I'm also looking.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say
what's up?
With the Happy Home designer, that was the cell phone game, right? No, that was the Wii U game.
No, that was Pocket Camp.
Okay, so with the cell phone Pocket Camp Animal Crossing game that they had, I feel bad for everyone that's playing the game because they announced Miitomo to be like their big first gaming mobile game, and then like it connected, like it was supposed to connect with everything and do all that stuff. There's a lot of people that invested a lot of money into it, and they just announced that like it's done. They're not going to be updating it, or like they're going to be completely canceling it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder, like, are they going to eventually do the same thing with Animal Crossing Pocket Camp? Because there's even more people that are playing Pocket Camp, and it's like...
Well, see, I think that's the thing, because in Pocket Camp, I don't know, I didn't get into it, but there might be more to do, because Miitomo was very limited. You know, you change your outfit, you play your free daily thing. If you have tickets, you play more, unless you don't care about the outfits that they're offering for the tickets, so then you just stop playing. Like you log in, get your daily coins, and then you just stop. You know, it wasn't enough to keep people going. I remember like a week or two afterward, people were like, so Miitomo's dead. It was like everyone turned off their notifications. We didn't care. Like you put like, what's your favorite food? Sushi. Cool. Like, you know, you only commented to get, so you had like half-assed comments like cool, LOL, smiley face. It just, there was no substance, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know if Pocket Camp has to do, so
I'm hoping they at least keep Pocket Camp up and then have some sort of connection with the Animal Crossing for Switch. So then maybe it's like, hey, everyone who loved and supported Pocket Camp, here is Animal Crossing for Switch, whatever subtitle they give it. And it's like whatever items you have in your house, whatever you've earned in Pocket Camp, as a thank you for supporting our new venture into the mobile market, you can transfer all of that stuff to Nintendo Switch. So you automatically start with a bunch of this stuff that you've gathered. And then it's not just...
That would be cool.
Yeah, like now it gives you... Because when it comes out on the Switch, a lot of people, I assume, are going to stop playing it on their smartphone. So if they have that connectivity to where it's like, well, my Switch is home, but I'm at work on break or something, I have 10 minutes to play around on some mobile game, and then you can just like get some stuff on Pocket Camp, and then when you get home you can transfer it to your Switch, and it would be a way to not just have people buy the game on Switch, but continue playing and purchasing stuff on the mobile game. So I think that would be some really good crossover if Nintendo thinks about doing something like that, because I also thought they should have done something with Mario Odyssey and Mario Run on smartphones.
Oh yeah.
It's like someone who bought Super Mario Run for like $10 or $15, however much it was, and once you get through like one or two levels, when Mario Odyssey came out, I was thinking it would be cool if Nintendo was like, hey, we see you really enjoy playing Super Mario Run. Here is a $5 coupon or something to get like $5 off of Super Mario Odyssey, because then it's like someone who may have the Switch but for some reason isn't interested in getting the game. If they're like, oh, I can save $5 on the game, that might give them that extra push to purchase Super Mario Odyssey. So those were just some like ways to make their mobile games and their actual games connected with each other.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah. So, anyways, sorry for interrupting.
Pretty cool.
Keep going, Pelvic.
No, you're fine. I also think, the WarioWare, I would be excited for that because I love Wario Smooth Moves on the Wii. That is like my favorite party game of all time. I have never laughed and had so much joy in a game because it's so random, it's so gross, it's so funny, it's so what the hell, like it was awesome. Like the one on the Wii U is fine, like it's okay, but the one on the Wii was just, and then sure, I'll put my eggs in the new unknown IP. Oh no, it's a horror game. I didn't read that. Never mind. Take it out. Nope. Not
retracted.
Whatever that mystery horror game is. Just throw it away.
But retro.
Out the door, squash it. So yeah.
That's another thing that made me think this was fake. That like they have Retro Studios listed, but there's nothing from like Grezzo, who worked on all of the Zelda remakes and then Ever Oasis. Or at least the 3DS remakes, not the Wii U remakes. And like even with the like they don't have many of like they listed Retro Studios, but there's no other second party studios listed like Grezzo, and it's like the big rumor right now is Grezzo's working on some sort of Zelda thing for the Nintendo Switch, whether it's bringing like I'm in favor since it's 2018 now. Daniel's heard this 1,000 times. 2018 is the 20th anniversary of Ocarina of Time. What's a better way to celebrate the 20th anniversary than to release an official HD remake? Especially since the game on 3DS is already made, they can just port it over like they do with
I would lose my goddamn mind.
So I think that would be perfect. But yeah, what are your thoughts
the article
on this list, Daniel?
The article mentions also that the rumor about Grezzo working on an HD Zelda game, kind of at the top of the article before the actual post that it is citing, trying to, I guess, put a connection to that, like saying maybe what Grezzo's working on is Skyward Sword HD.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical because I still hold on to my belief that Skyward Sword HD will come out in 2021, just because that's sort of what the trend has been.
The 10th anniversary, like they did with Twilight Princess.
Exactly, and that would be great. 10 years after Skyward Sword, we get the HD, and everyone will be like, "But it just came out." And then they realized that 10 years came. It's exactly what happened with Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
I had friends who I
Well,
posted the trailer on Facebook. They're like, "This game's not even old though," and I was like, "Hey, guess what? It came out 10 years ago." And they're like,
yeah,
"What?"
It's a
So,
GameCube
I
game.
know.
yeah,
See, the
Yeah.
thing
yeah,
is, like,
2006, bruh.
the reason people see that is because it went Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and then you're getting a Twilight Princess remake, and it's like, but it was, like, it's not the last game, but it was the game before the last,
Yeah.
so it's like, it's only 2 games old. Why are they remaking it? So
Yeah.
Because Nintendo, they don't do it fast, like we said earlier.
yeah, expect the next Zelda game in 2022.
Exactly. No, really, dude. That's very reasonable. But yeah, I would love to see some of these games. Like, obviously, Prime 4 we already know is in development. We already know that Yoshi and Animal Crossing are happening. I don't know if I want an ultimate version of Smash because same thing with Mario Kart. I already bought it. I already bought all the DLC. I already bought 50 amiibos. But with the Switch, I know that I will have to get it again because unlike Mario Kart, like Smash with my friends and my brothers especially, I have 3 brothers. Smash is like a big thing with us, especially my brother that's nearest in age to me. And we're very competitive with it. And Mario Kart we've always enjoyed, right? For some people, like Mario Kart is like their jam in their household, right? It's always been Smash for me. So it's like, especially if I'm going over to my brother's house, and I just bring my Switch over, like Smash, it just... I will have to buy it if they do it. It frustrates me because I don't want to buy it again if it's the same game. I want them to make a new Smash. Poor Sakurai was going to burn out his brain working on it. But
well, the rumor was
yeah.
Bandai Namco was working on the port for Super Smash Brothers. But it was my hope that because we seen games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe come out so soon after Mario Kart 8, and it was just the deluxe version with the DLC included. But if it comes out towards the end of this year or next year for Smash Brothers, there's a long enough time there that passes that I think they could actually have worked on a complete sequel and release it. And then instead of people having to buy the same set of amiibo, they can buy Smash Bros. Amiibo with slightly altered positions.
Now I'm gonna have to buy those too.
Yeah, but the reason
I'm very into my amiibo collecting. So.
The reason that a lot of people think that Smash Brothers on the Wii U and 3DS took so long to come out, which it kind of did, but I remember there was a Nintendo Direct where Nintendo announced, or the developer, the producer, whatever his name, I forgot, it was Sakurai, right?
Yeah, Masahiro Sakurai.
So Sakurai announced that he was going to be working on the Smash Brothers game for the Wii U. I don't know if they announced the 3DS version at that time, but that was also the same time that he...
At the same time.
He also, during that Nintendo Direct, announced that he was going to be working on Kid Icarus for the 3DS. So he said that once Kid Icarus is finished, they're going to begin working on Smash Brothers. And I think that's why a lot of people think that it took so long for Smash Brothers to come out, because when they think of when Smash Brothers was first announced, it didn't start development until maybe a year or 2 later. And then when they did start development, they were working on the Wii U and the 3DS, one of which is very, very limited on what it can do compared to the Wii U. So like they essentially had to make 2 very different versions of the same game that were also similar enough to where it didn't feel like a downgrade. So
yeah, and that's an impressive accomplishment. Just as a side note, because Smash is not a light game. The first game was graphically inferior to most other N64 games at the time. But Brawl, for example, actually broke people's Wiis because
you could see
they had to use
on Mario's.
Yeah, I mean it was a very intensive game for the Wii, and they had to do dual layering on the disc, I think it's called.
Yeah.
They had to use dual layer disc, and because it was it reads differently, it actually broke people's Wiis. because this game was so huge, and
I didn't even know
and to
that.
have that, yeah, no, it did, and then Nintendo was having to like either I think refund or send repairs
Yeah,
or like
the
yeah, for
normal
people's
Wii
Wii's.
games are like
Mhm.
4 GB, and then Smash Brothers was 8 GB. And there were some other
Yeah.
games that were 8 GB as well. Like I think if you buy the Metroid Prime trilogy and then maybe Skyward Sword.
hmm But so to have that and to have a game that basically is like the next iteration of that and run on a handheld, like that's an accomplishment to me. Like to have that work and to work as well as does on the 3DS. So that's my kudos for the day. There
So
you go.
what are you going to do if they do release this new Smash Brothers and they release all of the same Smash Brothers amiibo, but it is, instead of Link in his Smash Brothers position, he's in a slightly different position. Like it's just like very minor tweaks. So they're essentially the same. It's just like now his sword's raised a little bit higher.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to buy it. I'm gonna be sad for one day, and then that'll turn around to excitement as the closer we get to a release date, and then I'm gonna be all giddy and I'm gonna be broke.
All right. Well,
I spend too much money on amiibos.
before we move on to the question, Pelvic, what is your dream game to be announced at E3? Whether it's a third-party game like Overwatch being announced, or a game like Luigi's Mansion 3, which as of right now is unannounced. What would be your dream announcement?
My dream announcement? I don't know. I haven't even thought about that. I could have like one game just if they announced another Zelda game, that'd be great. That'd be a dream. That'd be a miracle. They just
That
announced
would be.
Zelda, like a full-fledged Zelda. I mean, not just a dream, but a miracle. I would be very happy. Like or like, I'm not gonna lie, a dream game if they remade Majora's Mask like HD. Did you see that fan made Majora's Mask Supreme? Oh my god, if they released something like that, I would lose it. But I guess I would say you gotta put me on the spot. Like this is something I had to think about, you know? From this list, I would choose Luigi's Haunted Mansion. I feel like that would just be like mind-blowing. Holy crap, Luigi's getting love, guys. This is not a drill. Luigi is getting love, you know?
What about
that
not
would
from
be
this list?
Super. Why you keep putting me in these like difficult positions, man?
Zelda.
Not from this. So yeah, I just want another damn Zelda game, man. Damn it. I don't know. I haven't really thought of like, wow, if they announced this. You know, one of the games I wish, but they announced it, was The World Ends With You, or a World Ends With You sequel. That would have been fantastic. That would have blew my mind. But we're getting a remake, like a remake plus, which is fine because it's an old game, so I'm not too mad about that.
Yeah, there's an indie game called Lost in the Woods or something like that. I've heard a lot of people excited for it. It's like
the indie game.
Yeah, it's like I think it's called Lost in the Woods or something like that. But I'm excited to try it because I was watching another podcast and they kept talking about how great the game was and that they're excited to replay it because it's coming out on the Nintendo Switch where it was on PC, and it has a lot of additional content for the Switch version. So I'm excited for that. But what is a dream game?
It's called Lost Woods?
It's like Lost in the Woods or something. I'll look it up.
Lost in the Woods. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, you mean Night in the Woods?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Do you mean Night in the Woods? You mean that one, because yes, I'm excited for that game. Yeah. Yes. Where it's a black cat and has like a really interesting...
Yeah.
So wait, Lost in the Woods or Night in the Woods?
Lost in the Woods is a different game. Night in the Woods is the game that I was talking about, where you play as the cat and then it's very story-driven. So
yes, that game I'm super hyped for. When I saw it was announced for the Switch, I'm with you there. That game, hell yeah. That, and I'm excited for... Yeah, you should. It looks so good, and I've wanted to play it since the dawn of time. But
I'm just looking it up, and I like that art style. Like it looks so very like the animated. God, it looks like a kids show, and it's just I don't know. It just yeah, I like that. I want to play that, and it got a 9 out of 10. Yeah, that's.
Apparently, it focuses
learned
on some like
something.
societal issues, and I'm like, okay, like I want to know about this. It just looks fun. It has a sense of mystery. Not gonna lie, certain parts kind of scared me. I looked at like some trailers, some gameplay. I was like, I don't know if I can play this, guys.
Too spooky. 3 spooky for you.
It's a night in the woods. You're in the woods at night, and like the character has like big red eyes. I'm like, oh my god, the main character's gonna freak me out.
All right. Well, I'm going to buy the game, but before I buy it, I am going to reach out to the developers since it is an indie game and see if I can get some download codes. And if I do get some, I'll send you one as well, Pelvic. So.
Aww.
But not me.
Shucks. Oh, thanks. That would be awesome.
I send you every time I get.
Okay, we'll tell you about it.
I know. I was actually playing a couple. I don't know if we should talk about it here on the podcast, but I was playing some of the indie games that you sent me the codes for, and with mixed feelings. But we could talk about that.
I think they're all released now. Like when I sent it to you,
one of them had an embargo
coming out for like 2 or 3 weeks, but they're all done now. So
yeah.
One game I'm really excited. It's already announced. It's coming out February like 13th or something, 16th. One of these. But the last 5 minutes. The longest 5 minutes. I am so excited for that game. I am so excited for that game. It's an RP. It's an RPG, and what like the twist is, you start off at the final boss. And then you go through your memories, that's where the gameplay is, and try to remember why you're at the boss, like why you're fighting the Demon King. And I'm like, that is such a cool opening, kind of like instant like attention grabber. Like, boom, here's the final boss. Yeah. Awesome. Why are we here? We don't know.
That's the only time I've seen something like that. So
yes, so
really
I'm
interesting
really excited.
Way to do the story. But yeah, yes. Daniel, what is your dream game for this year's E3?
If they do, okay, there's 2, I guess. One, I would say, if it's sort of off this list, if they give us Pikmin 4 and it's a real, like, as good quality as Pikmin 3, but maybe
what if it's
a little bit longer? No.
Oh, that groan of dissatisfaction.
No 3DS port of
Pikmin. I'm talking like funny. The level. Like of the Pikmin 3 but longer. Freaking Pikmin 3 was bloody brilliant. I like almost never got it because I always saw Pikmin and I was like, that looks like whatever.
I bought a game on the Wii U, and Nintendo used to do like some weird promotion to where like if you bought one game they would give you another game on Nintendo Club as like a free thing.
Oh.
So I remember I bought Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and I got Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS for free. And then I bought some game on the Wii U and I got Pikmin 3 as the free download. So
oh man. Yeah, no, that was I bought it because they did a free demo of it, so I played the demo and I just loved it to bits. And then I went out to buy it, and then it was on Nintendo Select. So that was awesome. So then I scored it for like $30. And man, no, it's a phenomenal game, but it's really short. But like you can play it over and over and over again, so like that.
I think you cut out, Daniel. You're froze for me.
Okay, cool. I was like, did anyone hear that?
Can you hear me?
He's back.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All right, finish.
You're back.
Sorry. What was the last thing I said? That you heard
it for the Nintendo Select for $30.
Oh yeah, and it was awesome. But I really liked that game, and it's great that there's like this element of strategy because you have the 3 characters instead of just the 1, and yeah, it's just a bloody brilliant game, but it's too short. That's the only problem. So if they do Pikmin 4, I just want it to be longer. That's my only thing. Like the Pikmin games have all been pretty like I think it's like 30-day cycles that you get, and that's it. But yeah, no, there's a lot of extra content as well. And also another game where I bought all the DLC because Nintendo's just got my wallet like a little fishing line. It just sinks it in and pulls my credit card out. So yeah, that would be my dream announcement if they do it. My other one would be if they had something similar. This kind of ties into, I think, a question we've gotten a number of times, and it's come up in the podcast before. But if they do a quick turnaround game with Breath of the Wild's assets, like they did with Majora's Mask with Ocarina of Time's assets, that would just be. Whew,
oh my god!
Whew,
oh my god! Yes.
That get me worked up. So,
yes. Okay, that's true. I'll change my dream game to that. If they gave me like a Termia, but like open world, there's like a here's all my damn money.
Yeah.
All
it's
of
just
it.
Because Majora's Mask they developed in, it was like a year because they had they were like challenged to do so, and that worked out well. So,
yeah, it's
fantastic
weird because it's one of the only games that, or at least the only Nintendo games that the entire reason that it was made was because they agreed to basically rush the game, where most Zelda games and most Nintendo games are like they get delayed. Yeah, especially Zelda games. So it's like to see one that the entire purpose of it was for Aonuma to rush it. It's like, why don't they do that more instead of releasing one major Zelda game every 5-6 years? Take 2 years and keep like releasing. Yeah, because even with Wind Waker came out like only a couple.
It was only 2 years later.
Yeah, after Majora's
2002.
Mask. So, like, they finished Ocarina of Time, which took 5 to 7 years, I think. So they finished Ocarina of Time, and then they made Majora's Mask in like a year, but then they released it after 2 years. And then they released Wind Waker after 2 years, and then Twilight Princess was like 5 years. So it's like, instead of doing that, they should just like Breath of the Wild came out last year, so maybe next year release whatever, like the Majora's Mask version of Breath of the Wild would be. That would be really
I would lose my goddamn mind. I would literally freak the hell out. Oh my god.
Breath of the Wild 2. Link goes back to Termina.
Well, now we're just talking real like dream game, but not likely, but definitely the dream game. But you mentioned that time, like Wind Waker coming out like only 2 years later. Like that was a hella time to be a Zelda fan. Just thinking about it. Time comes out in 1998. 2 years later, you get 2000. Majora's Mask comes out. Then you got both the Oracle games coming out in 2001. And then 2002, you get Wind Waker, and then Minish Cap shortly after. And it's just like, blah, all this Zelda. You got your handhelds coming at you. You got your consoles, like 3 console games in like 4 years. Like, yeah, that's what a time to be alive. I miss those days.
And then it's like, I remember, like, okay, so by the time you play Wind Waker, if you're in middle school, you would be graduated from high school and in college before Twilight Princess came out.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in high school when Twilight Princess came out, though, so I think I'm a little bit younger than you, Jesse, but it's yeah, I remember that. That was well. Then again,
I was
like between Skyward Sword to
came out. I was just saying.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know,
like,
but
someone who was like they could have been.
Yeah, but between what is it, Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, we actually got. I don't know what I'm saying. We got so much stuff in that time as well because
a lot of remakes.
Skyward Sword. Basically like all of the games got remade. So, and plus there's like. A Link Between Worlds, and then Ocarina of Time 3D. Or no, Ocarina of Time 3D was before Skyward Sword. So it was Majora's Mask 3D, Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD, not in that order. Hyrule Warriors. Link jumps into Mario Kart. That was a great time to be a Zelda fan. It's never a bad time to be a Zelda fan, I guess. Yeah. It's just there's a drought where between Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, where all we had was Link's crossbow training.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
Maybe that's why people bought it. They need their fix, you know?
That's why it's sold so well. No wonder.
They figured it out.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that brings us to our questions.
Yeah. All right. I'll do a separate intro for the questions. I'll be cutting this part out, but the video will start with the second intro, so I'll introduce you guys again. Are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as some of you all may know me, and this is our Zelda mailbag, where we talk about not just Zelda, so we need to think of a new name for that, I guess. But,
we forfeit the old name for it, so...
Yeah, so today we have a very special guest with us, Pelvic Gaming. Lady Pelvic, go ahead and introduce yourself for those who may not know who you are.
Hi guys, I'm Lady Pelvic of Pelvic Gaming. I have a YouTube channel called Pelvic Gaming, and I do a lot of reviews on JRPGs, RPGs, platformers. I do top 5 videos. I do convention vlogs as well when I go to anime conventions, video game conventions, cosplays. And then I have a Let's Play channel, Pelvic Plays. Currently we're playing Danganronpa, so that's exciting. You can find me on... we're playing the first one, the very first one. I haven't played... This is my first time playing. Although I've seen the anime, me and my friend are playing it. My friend hasn't seen it or knows anything about it, so I already know some spoilers things. But I saw the anime a while ago, so it's kind of new to me.
Are you wearing...
I love
shirt?
Monokuma. I do. Gosh, he's so crazy. Oh,
yeah. She's wearing the Pelvic Gaming shirt. And if do you have that for sale if other people are interested in buying one?
I don't. Not yet. Not yet. Stay tuned. I do feel pretty official wearing it, though, I gotta say. I'm like, so,
nice.
How's it going? But you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can look up Pelvic Gaming or Lady Pelvic. They're intertwined in there. I promise you'll find me. Just Google it.
Do you have your own Discord?
No, I don't yet. Everyone says I should get a
one.
Discord. Everyone says I should start a Discord.
Yes.
I'm like, okay.
We have...
Just come join ours.
Yeah,
join us.
We have a little over 900 people now in our Discord, so I'm excited about that. I'm hoping it'll get verified if we ever reach 1,000. So...
You can get verified on Discord? I'm new to Discord.
Yeah,
I don't know about
it used to be a lot easier, because I know people who have YouTube channels that are smaller than mine and get less views than mine that are verified on Discord, and they only have like 100 or 200 people on theirs.
Heck
but
yeah.
whenever Discord first started, they verified a lot of people a lot easier than it is now. So now, I guess it's really hard, because it's like I look at all these people that my Discord is more active than theirs, and my YouTube channel is a little bit bigger than theirs, but they're verified and I'm not, and I'm just like, what does
How does this work?
Yeah. So I'm hoping if I ever cross 1,000, they'll be like, well, this person's doing, like, he's bringing enough people on Discord that we should verify him. But the cool thing is, I don't want to be verified for the checkmark thingy or whatever they do. I want to be verified to get the jacket, because they send like the owners of the Discord get sent like cool Discord jackets, and that's what I want. So
priorities. This is what it's really about. It's really about clothing. It's about fashion.
Exactly. So,
but mostly, if you want to join our Discord, it's because you can actually talk to us.
Noted. I'll start one eventually.
Yes. There are a lot of people who start their Discord and they're not active at it at all. Like, they have it so their fans can join and talk to each other, but then they'll come in like once a week. But Daniel and I are in our Discord almost every single day. So
yeah, I pretty much, although I'm not necessarily posting every day, I'm there. I pretty much, because I can't stand having notifications on my phone, so I pretty much go through and read everything every day. But I don't always talk a lot, so I'm like, it like ranks who posts the most, and you can check that, and like I'm number 40. I'm one of the owners on this thing, and I'm like way down.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but it's a good time. We have a lot of fun there, and there's memes.
Okay.
Some of these questions come from Discord as well. We have one from YouTube. didn't really go through and check a lot of the other YouTube comments because there were so many, it's hard to find the ones that are just the questions. But if you would like your question to be featured on the next mailbag and have your name receive a shout out, you can leave your questions in the comments below. And also go over, check out Pelvic Gaming, check out her channel, her Let's Plays and stuff. Join our Discord. If she ever starts a Discord, join it as well. If you join our Discord, we have a section there where you can also leave questions for the mailbag, which is where most of these came from. And if we get too many questions, we go to Patreon and grab questions from Patreon. So if you would like to have your question guaranteed to be on the show, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can support and get a lot of other cool things as well. Do you have a Patreon for your YouTube channel, Pelvic?
No, I don't.
No, you
I need to like do stuff with my life. Everyone's like, you need to do this. I'm like, I'll do it eventually, I promise.
No pressure though.
I know. I'm
Our first question comes from the champion of Morrowind. Says, here's the question. Would you like a multiplayer four-sword Zelda game on Switch? So, the last multiplayer Zelda game that they had was Triforce Heroes on the 3DS, which Daniel and I have been saying we're going to play soon, but for some reason haven't got to it.
I don't know why.
You're not missing out on much, I'm not gonna lie.
It's like instead of saving
Then why do you have that poster behind you?
Yeah, so
what is it?
basically, like the moon isn't crashing on the world, destroying it.
I
Ganon and
got it
Demise
for
hasn't
free
taken
at
over.
Games. It's like one of my least favorites.
Yeah, it's like the princess is cursed to like wear bad clothes. So
yes, a sack of potatoes.
yeah,
very low stakes.
Like so the story might not have been that great. It was probably more of an inside joke with the studio than anything. They probably just went with something they thought was funny instead of serious.
Yeah.
So, like if they had a real story, like Majora's Mask or Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time, and like the fact that the story in Triforce Heroes is so weird is weird itself, because again, like Miyamoto always talks about how he focuses on story last. So, but it's like this entire game was developed with that story in mind, because to change your weapons and abilities, you put on different outfits. So, like, the gameplay itself is designed into the story, so it seems like they just had an inside joke and made an entire game from it. So, if they changed the story, or even went back to the Four Swords Adventures type stories and released something like that for the Nintendo Switch, I would really like it. Like if you could hop into Breath of the Wild and play along someone else, that would be really cool.
That would be.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this? Starting with you, Pelvic. Multiplayer Zelda on Switch. Real Zelda.
Oh yeah, I'd be
Hyrule
about
Warriors.
it. Yeah.
So like
okay. Yeah. No. Oh, I would absolutely be about it. Are you kidding me? Like, to show off my smooth Zelda skills, you know, in front of everyone, and be like, haha, who's the best Zelda player now? Probably not me, but I'll pretend like I am. I would be about it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, I really don't see an issue with it. But would it be like Four Swords style, or would it be like Breath of the Wild, where it's almost like an MMO kind of
there
feel?
was an interview that I always go back to whenever they were promoting Breath of the Wild when it first released. Aonuma said that he would like to take what he learned from Triforce Heroes and do something like that with the Breath of the Wild engine. So with him saying that, I assume it would be something like Breath of the Wild. I don't imagine it being a top-down game, but it could be. Who knows? Like, just because it's in the same engine doesn't mean it's going to look the same. Like, if you look at Unreal Engine 4, there's dozens of different genres of games made out of it. Like, there's really cartoony games. You can see the fan remake of, like, Ocarina of Time that a lot of people work on. You can, like, a Batman Arkham series is made out of Unreal Engine. There's racing games made out of Unreal Engine. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with Unreal Engine. So just because they use the Breath of the Wild engine doesn't mean that it's going to look the same. So, yeah.
That's true.
But
But I would be about it.
yeah,
I would like a few things done differently, like Triforce Heroes. I would like, some better communication, and I feel I don't like the fact that it was like really it was grindy, one, which I didn't like for a Zelda game. You know, you wanted to constantly grind to get certain items so you can get certain outfits, which kind of bothered me. I was like, I don't like grindy in my Zelda games. And then I guess being very dependent on 3 players, because like when one player left, you had to cancel out the game. You know, like the whole game just shut it down. You know, you got like sympathy rupees, and that was it. And that kind of irritated me too. So if you had a bad connection, it wasn't like Monster Hunter where it was like it just kept going. You know, once you lose someone, the whole game cut it off, and that just was like
yeah.
a little bit infuriating.
So like I think
So
it would be
if they can
best-
somehow fix that, then I would really.
Yeah, it would be best if they made it like a single player game first and then multiplayer as an option instead of being made
Yes.
from the ground up with multiplayer in mind. So just have it like a typical Zelda game with the typical Zelda story, the dungeons and everything, but have someone like just give them the option to join in and play. I always use the example in Breath of the Wild, you have Wolf Link as your companion. You tap in the amiibo and he just pops in. But the AI is controlling him. But it would be very similar to what I want would be very similar to that, to where if you're playing Breath of the Wild and someone picks up a second controller and they turn it on, they pop in, they're playing as Wolf Link or a different character. Like the AI is already controlling Wolf Link, so what's the difference of AI controlling your partner as opposed to a second player? So that's the way I look at it. Like whether you're playing,
I like it.
yeah, whether you're playing with Wolf Link or without him, nothing really changes. Like it might get a little bit easier. It could be more fun running around with the second player, but the story itself, nothing changes. Like you're not limited to anything. Like there's a lot of puzzles in the multiplayer Zelda games to where it relies on one person doing one thing and another person doing another thing, like 2 people standing on a switch at the same time or something like that. So yeah, like it would be really cool. Even in like Wind Waker, whenever you had to carry around some of the side characters, like the I forgot
The
her
bird.
name. Yeah, the Rito
Yeah.
person.
Like
you had to carry
medley
around.
and yeah.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah,
has
thank you.
Carry around Princess Ruto, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
instead of carrying them
Ruto!
around, if someone could have just
I love
picked up
her.
a second controller and walked around as that character, it would have made it a lot easier.
Yeah, like cafe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
that's how
I
would
just
want
think
it. But what about you?
I would want it to be a character that is like comparable to Link. That is not necessarily Link, but a character that controls the same way.
So like one
Because
of the
like,
champions,
well, that's a
maybe.
maybe. Oh, maybe. You know, I love my champions. But
Like if they controlled,
even just like a traveler or something, right? Because if you have a character who's like super different than Link, then it's like who's gonna get the shaft? Who gets to be Link, and who has to be the whatever character, right?
Yeah. Well, I look
So,
at it as
to-
like if you played as a Goron, or like if you just use the champions in
Mhm.
Breath of the Wild as an example, but they had similar attacks to what they did in Majora's Mask. So when you
Mhm.
play as a Goron, he's essentially playing the same as Darunia in was it Darunia? What was his name in Majora's Mask?
Darmani.
Oh God.
Darmani.
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 Yeah. So
Yeah.
Darmani.
like
He's my man.
his punches were essentially like using a hammer, so you could like bust rocks, I believe. The Zora's main attack was basically the same as the boomerang, so there was a lot of stuff that was very similar. So it's like
Mhm.
if you get into a fight with an enemy, or like you have to capture an item if someone's playing as a Zora, then it's like if you don't have a boomerang, you can just have him do it, or if you do have a boomerang, then either of you could do it. So there's a lot of similarities with
Yeah.
the weapons. But that's
Yeah.
just my thoughts. Sorry.
I like
Yeah.
that.
You.
No worries. I just like thinking back on, and we talked about this, I think, with Nate as well. With Mario Odyssey, for example, you can have a second player jump in and play as Cappy, right? And that's garbage. That's not fun. Yeah. it's not. So I don't want a similar experience in, like, yes, it's not fun. It is not fun at all, because with Cappy, if you have a second player, he's going to be zooming around as Cappy, and every time he goes in front of Mario, Mario bounces off him, and you are sort of, because Cappy's sort of a companion piece to Mario, you're limited in what you can do. So without having control of Cappy as well. But that's kind of a separate, like a side issue with that setup specifically. But if you have a Zelda game where you have multiplayer, I'd want them to both be either two Links, like in Four Swords or Triforce Zero, or two comparable characters, like someone who is like Link enough that he controls the same way, just so that both players can have the same experience and not the second player not be limited to what they can do when they're playing. I say this as someone who is eternally the younger sibling. And so, like, forever the Luigi, so...
forever the Luigi.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I have 3 older brothers, so I was always player 2. You know what I mean? So... I
guess I understand.
Yeah.
I was the oldest, so I was always player 1.
Yeah. So I just think it would be better if, or not necessarily better, but it would be a good experience to have them as, like, controlling the same way and have the same abilities. Unless it's like, if the game is not built around them having different abilities, then one person is just kind of a half character almost, So just a thought. Unless you have a wide range of characters and you can switch between, like, the 5 of them, like, on the fly all the time, then that would be really cool. So there's a couple different ways they could approach it. But yeah, I'd be down for multiplayer Zelda as well on Switch. The only thing is they better figure out how to do voice chat, please. Just like...
Wait, you don't like their Hooper... You don't like that huge connection thing? Where you have to buy, like, a separate accessory piece? And yes, you're not a fan of that? That's not, like, the coolest idea ever? Are you sure? You don't absolutely love all these connections and cords?
No. If you're going to do it, please fix it, please.
So weird. Like, the GameCube already had 4 controller ports. So it's like, why are you making people buy 4 Game Boy Advances just to play this game? Like,
there's that too. Yeah, with Four Swords Adventures, where I bought it and I was, like, psyched to play it with my friend, and then I couldn't because
it's like if you go back to when that game first came out, you needed like $1,000 worth of equipment just to play it.
Right.
Because
so I just played it with one player.
The GameCube was like $200 or $300. The game itself was like $30 or $40. The Game Boy Advances were all like $200 each. So it's like you need like $1,000 just to play this game.
Yeah. Which nope. So yeah, but like also like the Nintendo app is kind of where I was going with that before. It was like it's like at this point it would be fine because we could use it's either local or we could use something like Discord or some other social media platform to do it. But it would be nice if they just had a built-in voice chat that was functional to do a multiplayer game like this. That would be nice.
All right. You can pick our next question, Lady Pelvic. So just look at the short list there and pick whatever question you would like to have next.
I do kind of like this one. I just think this is like, what the heck is happening right now? Is this Ilya Rose or Leah Rose?
Ilya Rose.
Ilya.
Ilya? Okay, Ilya. Ilya Rose. If you had to choose which theory is worse, the theory that Link and Zelda from Ocarina of Time are siblings, or the theory that Ganon is Link's father?
I guess people really like it when we talk about dumb theories.
Yeah, one of our most popular.
Like, I think
Oh, sorry. I was going to say one of our most popular podcast segments was when we had someone. I think someone asked the question.
What is the dumbest Zelda theory?
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun answering that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, I can't. I don't like the idea that Link and Zelda from Ocarina of Time are siblings. I think that's awful. Just because to me, like I ship them. I ship them so hard. So to find out they're brother and sister, I'm kind of like, why? Why?
There's a lot of fan art that just got weirder.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's like the thing is this. Like okay, for example, so Noah calls me out on my double standards later. I don't know if you guys are Game of Thrones here. Like Cersei and Jaime are fine because it was established that this is their thing, and I'm like, okay, you guys are weird, no problem. They're incestual brother and sister, fine. It was like established, but like because like freaking Zelda and Link, you know, they're not siblings. They're from two presumed families. I mean, it's really obscure.
I could see why.
Link's parents are super obscure.
Yeah, like I could see maybe.
And Zelda, frankly, I mean, you just have like the King of the Red Lions.
Yeah, like I could see possibly
I don't want
why
to
someone would think that theory is true, like because I don't think it mentions Zelda or Link's father. Like it mentions his mother giving him up for adoption or whatever to the Deku tree. Bad parenting, by the way. Don't let a tree babysit your kid. But, and then
he turned out all right.
Yeah. And then with Zelda, like it doesn't mention her mom, but it mentions her dad. So I guess a lot of people look at it as well. Zelda's mom isn't mentioned, and Link's dad isn't mentioned. So, like, there might be the chance. So I can see why people think that, but I still think it's kind of dumb.
Yeah. I'd like to break down why both of these theories are absolutely stupid. Okay. Let's start with this one. So
Cue the hate
if
comments.
Lincoln people get ready to hate me more. They've already called me names in the last one. They already said I'm a sadistic bastard, so
that's a compliment.
Just bring it on.
Wait, what was that for?
Oh shoot! What? Why did they call me sadistic before? Someone comment below why.
Was it with Nate or?
Yeah. I made a joke about something.
Okay.
They called me sadistic. Anyway, so if Link and Zelda are siblings, right? At the beginning, the reason that Link was left the Deku Tree was because his mother was fleeing the destructive nature of the war. Okay. So that would make no sense if the mother was the queen, because she probably wouldn't be somewhere in the war that was affected by it. She would probably be in the castle. And if she were to abandon Link because of that, why would she abandon just one of her children to a tree and not the other one?
That was her favorite.
I kind of like that.
Like, why just Link? Like, why not both then? Or just leave Link at the castle if she's going out to the war for some reason? Or like why? No, it doesn't make sense. And the other theory, if Ganondorf is Link's father, they're not even the same race. Link is a Hylian, Ganondorf is a Gerudo, and that would make Link, if Ganondorf was Link's father, that would make Link Gerudo. There's only one Gerudo.
Well, wouldn't it be like half though? He would be half Gerudo because his mother.
Sure, but the thing with the Gerudo, the Gerudos are weird. Okay, they're an entirely female race with only one male specimen born every 100 years, supposedly. That's the lore.
Right.
I think
right.
Like Link would be like 2 feet taller.
He would be taller. Link's like 5'5". I think Ganondorf's like 7 feet tall, something like that. He's
Ganon's 7 feet. Jeez.
I said it's in Hyrule Historia.
Ganondorf's
okay. I have to read.
Really tall.
He's a tall guy. But the thing is, like the Gerudo, they all have very defined characteristics. They all have red hair, yellow eyes, usually tanned skin. But then in Breath of the Wild, you see sort of more diversity. But they're not. With Hylians, they also have more defined traits where they have the longer pointed ears. Sometimes
noses.
Gerudo.
He has a pointed nose. He has a pointed nose.
Yeah. So, anyways, the point is that That would be like saying, is Daruk Mifa's uncle?
Can we not?
Who knows? No, they're not the same race. Daruk is a Goron.
See,
Mifa is a Sora. There is not.
There is the theory that Malin from Lon Lon Ranch, or Milan, however you want to pronounce her name, that she is part Gerudo, because there's like the thing, like she has the red hair, and then there's the comment that her dad makes when you wear the Gerudo mask, and he says you look like her mother. So there is that theory, and then it continues with, like, there's another theory that Milan and Link end up getting together, because we know Link from Ocarina of Time is like the great whatever grandfather of Link from Twilight Princess. So
right,
if we don't know,
so if anything, Ganondorf is his maybe possibly father-in-law.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say like
maybe grandfather-in-law.
Well, like what I was getting at is that if the theory of, like, if those two theories are true, that Link does end up marrying Malin, because we know he has to have a family with someone, and he only has like 3 potential love interests in Ocarina.
One of them being a Zora.
Yeah, one of them being
one of them's a fish.
So... It's fine, guys. Shut up. I love Ruto and Link together. I love Ruto so much. Okay, so
but they can't have children. Right. She lays eggs.
So there is Princess Zelda, and then there's Malin.
Possible, okay.
Yeah,
so... Zora mask.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm getting
so this is great. This is great.
So we have Princess Zelda, but then Link in Twilight Princess, he grows up to be a farmhand, and if he got together with Zelda, you would imagine Link in Twilight Princess growing up to be a prince. So where he grows up to be a farmhand and working on the ranch, the only thing that really ties into that is if he has his relationship with Malin, which Malin's father tries to pursue with you. So, like, there is that connection. So if those two theories turn out to be true, then that would mean that Link and Twilight Princess would be part Gerudo. But as for Link in Ocarina of Time being Ganondorf's son, I think it's just nonsense.
Nope.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Because it's like,
Link's
if
he's
he
not
had one
Gerudo.
son, I imagine he would have like 100 others.
So he's like Genghis Khan?
Well, he's like...
Yeah, I was about to say, spreading that seed.
Well, like, there's all of the Gerudo women, and it's like, if he's the king and they're all like the warriors or whatever, like, I don't know how their relationships work in Ocarina of Time, but...
I do know that they go into Hyrule and steal men to procreate. I was like, that's pretty adult for Zelda. When I first found that out, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
dang.
But I don't think Ganondorf went into Hyrule to find women to have a child.
No.
You know? No, I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't think that happened.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
So
I will see that.
I'm going to say both theories are nonsense, but which one is worse?
They're both bad. They both kind of make no sense.
I can't.
I would say Ganon being Link's dad, because I think that would be in the story of the game if it was. Like, you would get somewhere close to the end, and then Ganondorf would say something like, "I knew you would be a problem when you were born," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, there would have been like some throwaway line connecting it.
Or join me, and together we will rule Hyrule as father and son. Hey, actually, that could have been cool.
Like a Vegeta voice.
Oh, damn. I was really gunning for Darth Vader.
Oh.
I'm not James Earl Jones, so.
Alright. Pick our next question, Daniel.
Okay. I like Retro. My good friend Retro. He's in my Splatoon squad. He asks,
hey,
if you could choose any Zelda game to remake or make changes to that includes updated models or sprites and an engine overhaul, you could choose to do, which Zelda game would you remake or make changes to?
I would want.
Choose the right decision, dude.
I would want
Yep.
Majora's Mask and like the.
Good job.
The way that the Zelda Wii U tech demo, where it showed Link walking in to face the giant spider, I would want it looking like that, but with Child Link, like in that art style, but with Majora's Mask.
Okay.
So, or like.
Have you guys seen that? No, have you guys seen that I'm telling you, that fan remake, that fan HD remake of Majora's Mask? I mean, they did a phenomenal, like you could see, yes, where it's Deku Link and he has like, it's so, like, give me that. That is what I want. That is what I want.
See, that looked really
Public,
good.
You should look up.
I don't care what engine, whatever engine you use to produce that, that's what I want.
Yeah, when I seen that, I was like, that looks really good, but it looks too good for the Wii U. Like, there's no way the Wii U could be able to do that.
Damn.
Public, you should look up. There was a fan film that I think you would really like. That was about Majora's Mask. It was like I can't remember what it was. I think it was called Terrible Fate.
Is it realistic?
Which is like super realistic. Yeah, and it's about like the backstory where he's like he finds the mask. If you've seen it, you wouldn't forget it if you've seen it. It's super good. It's like Hollywood quality. Like, it's good. Watch it. Anyways, let's give us a shout out there. I'll find you a link after this podcast is over, and I'll send it to you. But,
please.
What's your choice, Pelvic? But you can't say Majora's Mask now that Jesse said it. I know that would clearly be your pick, but
are you serious? You just robbed me like that?
Jesse,
wow,
he took it from you, not me.
Really
Blame
quick.
Jesse.
Wow. Okay, thanks, Jesse.
Mark in the chat says, "Please let Nate come on again. He and you are my favorite YouTubers. Lady Pelvic, you're great too. But ... favorite YouTuber." And then Retro says, "Hello, Pelvic." And then a few other people commented saying that they liked you as well. So there's been a few people that I've seen that commented saying that they were a fan of yours. So
thank you so much. Sorry, I wasn't in the chat in the beginning. I had internet issues, so I was trying to like minimize everything that's going on, so just focus on the podcast. But I'm back. My internet seems to be like behaving, so I'm like, all right, I'm in the chat now. What's up?
All right. So yeah.
So my remake, since Jesse robbed me.
Mask?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because you robbed me. Thank you for
that.
You
stole her answer.
Okay, so if she wants to pick that, I want a real remake, not just an HD port of Skyward Sword, but on this remake, add in like an actual overworld for Hyrule. So it's not just you flying over Hyrule Field and going to the Lineru province, Elden province. Like have it like a huge connecting world underneath. Like remove all of the clouds and let you see what Hyrule Field looks like in Skyward Sword. So that would be what I would choose. And then it could be any art style. Like the Skyward Sword art style worked for that game. So just like a HD version of that. And yeah, so like I would want an actual, like, not just bring the game into HD, like actually remake the game and add in the overworld. That's what I would want. Like it could be as empty as Ocarina of Time's overworld, to where it's literally just Lon Lon Ranch in the middle and nothing else. Like there's one guy that runs in a big circle.
There's Pose. Come on, man.
I would agree with that, because that was probably my biggest issue with Skyward Sword is I really didn't like the world. I really did not like how the overworld was. That was my biggest issue. It limited the game so much. That was one of my biggest issues. Plus the motion controls are kind of wiggity whack. But yeah, that's pretty good. But I would probably say if I can get another remake, well, I guess Wind Waker already happened, because that would be my next one, just because it's my favorite game. But or if they like expanded on Minish Cap, that would be fun. I loved Minish Cap with a passion. Or actually, you know what? Link's Awakening would be really cool if they did like a whole like HD remake of that. Link's Awakening would be bomb if they did that. Like just fleshed out the island, the characters, like being able to go a little bit in the ocean, not too far out, but like seeing the first time was like the dreamfish, dream whale, sleeping whale, whale of fishing dreams. I don't know, but that thing, wow! I was just on some other level right there. But yes,
So
with
good.
Fish, I think it would be awesome. So
Mhm.
actually I'm gonna go with that one. Since you took Majora's Mask, that will be my. I'm gonna Awakening.
All
That
right.
game
That's a good
deserves
one.
it.
Good answer. I'm gonna pick The Legend of Zelda,
Oh, the first.
the OG Zelda, just because it's playing it now. I've mentioned before. I really want a Zelda 1 and 2 bundle to like come out and have like a sweet remake. Has maybe like same art style as like Octopath Traveler, because that game looks like
Woo!
the bomb. Like just great art style. Um, and it's a game that it's laid the foundation for the series. Maybe not in the same way that I think A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time really like put in the structure. But if Zelda were a house, I'd say like Ocarina of Time and A Link to the Past are like the frame of the house. That's your framework. But Zelda 1 really laid down that cement, that foundation that everything was built on, right? So there's your analogy for the day, folks. And so yeah, it's a game that like a lot of Zelda fans, myself included, I replayed like a lot, like all the Zelda games, and I've played those two like once, and that's it.
I keep
And
yawning for some reason. I apologize.
am I boring you, Jesse?
Damn.
Jesse.
No.
Damn, you boring
awesome.
yourself.
No.
You don't give a shit about your
Oh.
analogies and your framework and your foundation.
Oh. Your words sting. No, but no, I think it would be really cool because I think it would bring the game, start like the two games I think that started it all really to the modern audiences. There's a lot of kids, that like I was born after those games came out. I only played them because I'm super into Zelda, but a lot of people who maybe aren't as into it as I am, never got the chance to, or just never bothered to, or it was too hard and they just gave up. So, just let's remake those games, put in that sweet Octopath Traveler art style, add a freaking functional map to Zelda 1, especially because it really needs it. And then we'd be set. Like, it'd be a golden release. Like, it'd just be super good. I don't mean golden release just because they came on gold cartridges. But if they made them on gold cartridges, that would be really good too. So
Yeah.
that's my pick.
I would really like to see it. Like, really, if they actually remade any of the Zelda games to, like, similar to what they did with Wind Waker, to where they cut the Triforce quest, so like you don't have to do as much of it. I think that really helped out the game. So if they remade any of the
same
older
in
Zelda
Twilight
games,
Princess with the tears in the Twilight.
Yeah. So like, if they do something to improve the actual gameplay, like that would be really cool. They added the fishing, like 2 fishing ponds to Majora's Mask. Like that was cool, I guess, if you like fishing.
I mean, that was not really what I was hoping. They put in fishing, but they took out the good Zora swimming, so...
Yeah. So our next question comes from Duomaster, who says, King Burgerson, is Yoshi a dog? No, screw it. Actual question. Isn't that from on one of the live streams? Everybody was saying that Yoshi is a dog.
Yes. Yes, that's why they called me sadistic, because I got real mad about that.
There was a dozen people in the live chat arguing that Yoshi was a dog, not a dinosaur. So,
and then they're like, why does Mario hit his dog?
Oh my god, no, he's a dinosaur.
He's a dinosaur, guys. He's a very hungry dinosaur.
Actual question. Any super obscure game you would like to see on the Switch at some point? Not really a massive question, but if you need filler, there you go. I don't think it's filler, but an obscure game I would like to see on Switch would be... I would like to see something like Overwatch, like one of the games that a lot of people are playing. It's really popular on Twitch.
That's not obscure.
But
it's not obscure, but it's like... It's something that isn't... Like, no one really thinks is coming to the Switch, so it's like I can't think of any thing that would be
an obscure game.
Obscure.
Like to the Switch. If they brought back like some old, if they brought back like, oh, I'm sorry, we both started talking at the same time. I'm thinking like if they brought back, I don't know. Golden Sun isn't really obscure. Or the old Tales of game, like Tales of Destiny. I guess that's not obscure, but I just feel like it'd be a shock. You know what I mean? I'd be like, holy, what the freak? Like,
I know a lot of people were also like, they really want Golden Sun. Yeah, just another one. They just want Nintendo to throw them a bone and give them Golden Sun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Persona would be cool.
Yeah.
Here's a obscure game, but go ahead. Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of Majesty?
That's obscure. I've never heard of it.
All right, I got one. I don't know if it's actually obscure, but it was a game that I used to play way back when. It was a PC game, and it was sort of like an RTS game. Along the same lines of like Warcraft, except what was neat about it was that you couldn't like select your units and actually command them. You had to like work within the system to like give them incentive to actually do it. So if like the morale was good enough, they would just automatically defend the town if monsters came up, or you could put a bounty on an enemy. And if the units were feeling motivated enough, they would actually go and do it. But if they didn't like you, if you were like being a bad leader,
an interesting
they wouldn't
concept.
do it. Yeah, so and it was a really cool. That was a really cool mechanic, because then in other RTSs, you just you drag your box, you put all your units, and you just tell them what to do, and they'll do it to the T, right? So for this, like all the units had their own AI, and they would level up independently on their own. So they all had their own leveling up and abilities that they could learn and stuff. So it was almost like if you were the mod and you had all these AI players in your MMO, and you were trying to get them to do the quest, but you had to give them incentive, and you had to make sure that they were into it enough to do it. And yeah, it was a really cool game, and I haven't played it in like years and years and years. I don't know. It was I had it on this old computer. I want to see if I can find what. I'm just gonna see what year it came out. There was a sequel to it that was not as well received. That I think they were trying to. It came out the year 2000, the distant future. so damn, this game's like 18 years old now. But just look at Majesty. It's called Majesty, the Fantasy Kingdom Sim. And that just tells you what year it came out there. But no, it was a really fun game. It was really cool. I'd love to see them come up with maybe a new one that didn't suck. And I don't know. It's just unique. So
right. I
was just trying to pull whatever obscure game I could.
I think I found my obscure game. On the Super Nintendo, there's a really awesome game. I used to have... Like, when I was a kid, I had A Link to the Past, but I think I let one of my cousins borrow it, and I never got it back, so...
No!
One of the games that I played... one of the games that I played that I thought was similar at the time to A Link to the Past was Illusion of Gaia. And...
Oh, I've heard of that.
It was a really cool RPG on the Super Nintendo. It says... It's in the Soul Blazer series, which I've never heard of Soul Blazer, but it was published by Square Enix and Nintendo. So, yeah, like it was like just a cool adventure game, sort of like an adventure take on the older Final Fantasy games, which I think that's what Secret of Mana was supposed to be as well. Just like an adventure take on Final Fantasy. But
Illusion of Gaia, 1993 it came out. So it came out the same year as A Link to the Past as well.
What?
I thought 1993.
I thought A Link to the Past came out in 89.
89? No.
No?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was either 92 or 93. Hold on. Oh, sorry, 91. Oh no. I'm a failure. I'm a failure. No. You'd think I'd know this because A Link to the Past is the first video game I ever played.
That was the year I was born.
Oh.
Me too.
So what is your obscure game, Pelvic?
Yeah, I don't know. You guys,
that's so
you guys
watch.
You guys beat me to the. I'm looking at games and I'm like, I don't know what, because I can think of a game that I would like to be remade that hasn't seen the light of day in a while. It was like Phantasy Star 4. If they brought back Phantasy Star, it'd make me so happy. I'd cry tears of
Phantasy
joy.
Star.
That's not like obscure.
They had that huge
Yes, I
keyboard
do.
on the GameCube.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you see that keyboard?
I love Phantasy
It
Star.
was crazy. Yeah.
But
That was-
that's all I got.
Well, that was
That's
a
a good.
fun
That's
question.
a rough question. It was. I agree.
All right. Our last question. We'll get one more question in. But everybody, while we answer this question, everyone that's watching live, type in your questions on the live stream. And
Yes. We'll do a lightning round.
We will have Lady Pelvic pick her favorite question, and we'll answer it. Maybe another one as well. But yes, Space Schumann from Discord. He asks.
Or is that Shaman?
Shaman?
Space Shaman?
He always, like,
Isn't
when
it?
someone comes in, like, he says, "Welcome, Schumann," like, mispronouncing human. So I don't know.
Oh,
what he's trying to
okay,
do.
I don't know.
It could be Shaman.
I don't
Anyways,
know.
He asks, in Wind Waker's development, they cut some content to save some time. Assuming there would be more sages to power the Master Sword, what would the Lost Dungeon themes have been? For example, currently have one with a crypt theme and one with a wind theme. I would give at least 2 more. Yeah, there was the fire island in Wind Waker, and then there was the ice island. They were kind of you had to do one right after the other. Those were meant to be full dungeons, but just like in Ocarina of Time, they cut down the full ice dungeon to be like just the ice cavern. But in Wind Waker, I think they delayed the game, but then they ended up like rushing it out. So even though they delayed it, they weren't able to get everything that they were needing, and instead of delaying it again, they just released it as best as they could. A lot of people thought Wind Waker HD would have like the actual dungeons and stuff, but it didn't. But yeah, like there was supposed to be the big fire dungeon, which there's already kind of a fire dungeon, and the Earth Temple. I think.
Yeah.
Or Dragon Roost Island.
Dragon Roost Cavern.
Dragon Roost Cavern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other one was supposed to be the ice one. I think the mini dungeon that was the crypt was supposed to be a callback for the Shadow Temple, but maybe they just included those elements that was supposed to be in that dungeon into, was it the Tower of the Gods or like the Earth Temple? What was it?
That was the Earth Temple. You talking about with the mirrors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the Earth Temple. Yeah,
Earth
because
Temple,
the
for
homegirl
sure.
had. Yeah, it's the Earth.
Yeah. So the
Mirror Shield.
to me the Earth Temple looked like it was a mix of 2 different things. Like
Yeah.
they had like one aesthetic, and then it had like the dark, gloomy aesthetic as well. And I thought that it felt like maybe they were thinking of something similar to the Shadow Temple in Ocarina of Time, but they weren't able to make the full dungeon, but they didn't want to get rid of all of the stuff they made, so they just combined it in with another dungeon. Same thing with the Wind Temple. There was the second dungeon in the game, like the forest-themed dungeon, when you have to use the Korok to fly around. There's a lot of wind puzzles in that game, so maybe that was supposed to be a forest dungeon, like just a forest dungeon, and then similar to the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time, but then they had the Wind Temple, and they combined those elements as well. So, yeah. The Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time, for those who don't know, a quick fact, it was originally supposed to be a wind temple as well, because the medallion for it looks like wind. And then when you get to Ganon's castle, instead of Ganon's castle has the different segments to where you have to like save the different sages or whatever it is, and the forest segment is all wind puzzles. So like they think that was left over from the actual dungeon. But anyways, just random stuff.
Yeah, same about the ice cavern. The water medallion was supposed to be ice themed originally.
Yeah.
But they were gonna have an ice dungeon, and then that remnant is also left in Ganon's castle. So yeah.
But what about you? What did you think of Wind Waker's like cut dungeons? Did you think it was odd when you got to those islands and it was just like
Those two, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I did think that. I was like, wow, this was like significantly easier. Like, okay. I mean, okay, but it's just weird because Zelda's supposed to have like a lot of dungeons, you know? Like that's like part of like, in my opinion, like part of the fun. So I thought it was kind of weird. But what Wind Waker lacked in like dungeons, I had so much fun exploring. I know a lot of people like bitched about the Triforce finding thing. I didn't mind it because that just led me to like different islands and like around the world, you know? So
Thank you.
I was about it. I was like, oh my
Honestly,
god,
like I feel like I'm the only person that didn't hate that part of the game, and I'm like, no, it's fun because you go around the world and I can find all the secrets I missed and everything. And
okay, great. We're friends.
We are
okay,
BFFs.
awesome.
Jesse, sorry, I'm replacing you on the podcast. It's gonna be me and
Bye,
Pelvic.
Jesse.
they already said they wanted you in Lexi, so I think they just want me replaced with.
So, but yeah, Jesse,
Just kidding, we love you.
No, I do. I mean, like, well, yes, it was cut short, but like I said, I really think it made up and just exploring the world and finding all the secrets, finding like a giant like octopus, like, you know, with the whirlpool, kind of the Great Fairy island, the ice and fire caverns, or like kind of that whole mesh of island. It was just fun to do. Like, I thought it was fun finding like the Spleesh guy who's like Spleesh. Kaboom! Anyone remember that, or am I just crazy?
Oh yeah,
the squid guy.
The mini game.
You have to play pretty much. It was just fun. Yes, it just made me happy. But so I guess to answer the question, I mean, more temples would have been nice. I'm not gonna say no to more temples, more dungeons, but I wasn't mad. So.
Yeah, the thing is, at the time, I just because even in Ocarina of Time, I knew that there was like the ice cavern. I just thought like, oh, it's a mini dungeon similar to the bottom of the well. So I didn't think of it as, or even the Gerudo's hideout or whatever it was called was like
the training ground
dungeon. Yeah, so there was a bunch of. There was already a bunch of mini dungeons that were designed to be mini dungeons in the game. So whenever I went to the ice cavern in Ocarina of Time, I wasn't thinking, oh, this feels like it was cut down from a larger dungeon. I just thought this feels like a typical mini dungeon. So whenever I got to Wind Waker and I seen like there was the two islands, like the Fire Island, the Ice Island, and like you just had to do like one quick puzzle on each and then it was done. I didn't think that it was lacking anything or that they took away dungeons. I just thought that was what it was supposed to be until later whenever I was reading interviews and stuff where they talked about cutting out some of the dungeons. I did think that it seemed like it was kind of lacking in the number of dungeons because you go to Ocarina of Time, which has like 10 actual dungeons and then a few mini dungeons. Twilight Princess has like 12 actual dungeons. But then, like, Majora's Mask only had the 4 main dungeons, so Wind Waker still had more than Majora's Mask. But compared to the other games, Wind Waker does seem like it was cut short on dungeons, but it didn't feel out of place for me. It just felt like that's what their intentions was. So.
Yeah, I always felt like...
You thought that was cut on dungeon. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
We're so bad at this.
We are, but it's okay. I always felt like one place where the dungeon should have been was on Great Fish Isles. You kind of show up there, and then Jaboon is missing, and then you end up finding him on Outset Island. But Great Fish Isles is it's sort of like at the spot in the game where that third dungeon should be. And what's interesting also is that on the map of Wind Waker, there's the 3 islands that form if you like basically draw like lines between them, and then there's the 3 islands that have the goddess statues where you put the pearls on, and you draw lines between them. It forms a Triforce, and those the locations of those outside 3 dungeons are Dragon Roost Island, where the first dungeon, Dragon Roost Cavern, is, where the Great Deku Tree, I can't remember the name of the island itself, but what is basically the forest island where you do that second dungeon is, and then the third point is Great Fish Isles. So like even then it's like it feels like that third dungeon should be there, right? Because you're connecting the 3 dungeons.
On Zelda Wiki it mentions that they believe that it was supposed to be the home of one of the dungeons as well.
Yes!
For the
I'm not
Goddess
the
Pearl.
only one.
So,
Yeah, so it just feels like that's where you should have gone to get the third dungeon to get that third Goddess Pearl. But you just kind of find him hanging out on Outside Island instead, and he just kind of gives it to you.
So Zelda,
So
one of the Zelda wikis says, scrapped dungeon theory, and then it has theory warning. It has been speculated that Great Fish Isle was the original location of the Wind Waker's supposed third Goddess Pearl dungeon because it was the home of Jabun, the keeper of Nehru's Pearl, since the Great Deku Tree safeguarded Farore's Pearl and the Sky Dragon Valu protected Din's Pearl. It only makes sense for the home of Jabun to exist in a temple-bound place, so he too can supervise the care and safeguarding of Nehru's Pearl. However, this theory has not been confirmed by Nintendo and must therefore be taken as mere fan speculation. The evidence in favor of this is as follows. There are interviews where the creators say that some dungeons were left out of the final game. Great Fish Isle, Fire Mountain, and Ice Ring Isle are marked on the full map of the Great Sea, where the only other islands that are marked are the plot important ones. I can barely read that.
So those were speculated to all be dungeons then.
Yeah. When connected by lines, Dragon Roost Island, Forest Haven, and Great Fish Isle form a large triangle. The three triangle isles, when connected by lines, create smaller triangles attached to the larger ones. The entire image created is that of the Triforce. And the Tower of the Gods exists in the center of the symbol. An image of this can be found on the pirate ship in Tetra's quarters. This adds further evidence to this theory that both Forest Haven and Dragon Roost Island are home to temples. So I guess, everything points towards that was where the dungeon was. It shows a little example of the map with like the Goddess Tower right in the middle, and then all of the other islands making up the Triforce. So,
yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I always felt like that's where maybe a water-themed dungeon should have been. You know, like... because usually in Zelda games, you get like your first three dungeons often, not always, but often are like a forest-themed dungeon, a fire-themed dungeon, and a water-themed dungeon. And so, you know, in Twilight Princess, you have the Forest Temple, Goron Mines, and Lakebed Temple. Ocarina of Time, you've got Great Deku Trees inside of him, and then you've got inside of Jabu Jabu, and there's Dodongo's Cavern where you're inside a giant dead Dodongo, so I'm seeing a theme here suddenly. And then in Wind Waker, you've got, you know, Dragon Roost Cavern, which is a fire themed, and then you've got Forest Haven, which thank you for reminding me what the name of that island is, which is your forest themed dungeon, and then there's no real water themed dungeon in the game. So it just like felt like that was supposed to be there, and it just wasn't. So yeah, it's just my theory.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I feel like things were combined, like the water temple, especially in Wind Waker. I think that was part of like the Temple of the Gods, where there was like a lot of water. So a lot of. But I do feel like a lot of things were just combined. So I definitely hear you in that.
Yeah, there was even in Skyward Sword, there was the Ancient Cistern dungeon, which was like half
that's a
water
good
temple,
one.
half Shadow Temple, because like it has everything above ground is water-based puzzles, or sort of water-based puzzles, and then everything below is like the Living Dead, basically, with like zombie bokoblins and other stuff. But Lady Pelvic, for our final question, go through the live chat and pick out whatever you think.
The best question.
Yes.
Or the funniest question.
Yeah, and everyone
or
else...
the questioniest question.
Where did Lady Pelvic get that Majora's Mask poster behind her? At a convention.
Not that one.
That's not the question.
That one.
No. Let's see. RPG elements in OVA. What would be your perfect OVA? I feel like we answered that one by Knock Fox. That was a pretty good one, but let's see. What do you think Link's move should be the next? Sir.
What's the question?
Favorite snowboarding, but no. I'm just like we're going through. Favorite snowboarding.
Favorite snowboarding mini game?
That's the only snow. No, not mini game. Just favorite
Oh.
snowboarding game.
Come on,
Okay,
guys.
'cause the best-
Give us.
I mean, that's not
Okay.
like
Give us
that's
a
not
good
my question.
question.
That's
sorry.
why they called me sadistic, because I said their questions were bad last
Oh,
week.
Yeah, we did this on the last
Monster.
week for the final question, and nobody was asking good questions. It was like, yeah, they were just asking like,
So I was like, sorry guys, give me
Yeah,
better questions. They're
yeah.
like, why is he sadistic?
yes, people in the chat, give us a really good question to go out on.
Please don't hate us as well. We love you guys for watching.
I feel like we answered this one. Like, I like this question, but I feel like we hit this one before. From
What was
Knockbox.
What do you say?
If they made a new Zelda game with with RPG elements and open world like Breath of the Wild, what would be your perfect open world RPG Zelda? I felt like we kind of went if we kind of took another Zelda game and then, like Breath of the Wild but with like a Majora's Mask skin is pretty much what I need in my life. That or Link's Awakening. Let's see.
I think they're purposeful.
What are your thoughts on Doritos?
They're messing with us now.
I like that. What are your thoughts on Doritos? If you could pick a number 1 through 10, what would you
better
pick?
after you've had a few things to drink. You've had a few drinks, and then Doritos. Everything that ends in O's is better. Burritos, taquitos, Doritos, like all of it is better after you've had if you've had a few drinks in you.
Wait, what time is it?
Okay. Here we go. It's almost noon, 12. Yeah. Well, it's 11:30 almost. So, okay, I found one that I like. So, from Nikolai Handkerchief. So, what would you like to see in the next Zelda game beside old dungeon design? Because everyone says that.
Yeah, that's what everybody
says. That's acceptable.
Yeah, in fact, we've said that too, I think.
I would like to see more. I would like to see more character development. That's what I want to see, because I feel like in Breath of the Wild, one of my criticisms of that, you see it's lovable, so likable, everyone loves, or both, everyone loves Mifa, everyone for some reason likes that chick, whatever. People
and nobody likes
to these characters
Rivali.
so fast. Rivali and I have a love-hate relationship. I like every time he said something I like talk snarky back to my TV, like fuck you. Like I'm so mad at him. But
there's a
love-hate relationship.
There's a Patreon supporter in our Discord who we talked about who our favorite champions were in one of the videos and who like the one that we liked the least. And I said something along the lines of like, I don't think anyone even likes Rivali. And then there's a bunch of people that commented that was like, did you know like Luke, who's also part of a group of YouTubers that I'm in, the Chamber of Sages, Luke Zelda Master, if you know who he is, he does a lot of Zelda Let's Plays. But apparently he said that his favorite champion was Rivali, so there's a lot of people that was commenting like, oh, Zelda Master loves Rivali. And then there was one of the people in the Discord chats changed her name to Rivali's Boo to like because she was such a fan. And to kind of pick on her for it, I changed her name to Ravioli instead of Rivali.
Yeah, she changed it back, and then I changed it back to Ravioli. I changed it instead of Rivali Boo, I changed it to Ravioli for you.
Oh my god, like Rivali, I have a love-hate relationship. I can't hate him because he's so. But back to the question.
Is it
something I
because
would
he's
like
the most skilled archer among all
he's
the
not.
Burrito?
No.
Duo master in the chat.
No, I think I just like he's just sassy. So, but going back to what Nikolai asked though, like best old dungeon design, because everyone says that, like one thing to improve. I would just want more interactions with the characters. I would like characters to be able to like travel with you, so it's not just Link and Link alone. I think it'd be cool to have like a companion, to bring alongside and like for certain, like have Sidon maybe like only available in the Zora region. Like, so he can't, he's Prince, he has to be around the Zora people, whatever, so he can't leave his people, but he can still travel in his zone. Same thing, and just like, and it'd be great to have like banter between them. So like, if Link does an awesome attack, Sidon's like, "Good job, chap," or whatever the hell Sidon would say. I don't freaking know. Or maybe they start making out or something, because I'm all about that. But anyways, I am all
Sidon looks at
my
Link
Sidon.
like because his sister was like in love with Link. I think he views Link as like the cool older, like his sister's older cool boyfriend that he wants to be like. Like, that's the relationship between Sidon and Link.
Oh yeah, he believes
Now I
in
think
you.
Sidon wants Link for himself. It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
It's a family trait. They know what they like. They have a type in the Zora royal family there. But we do see snippets of that when you're going to attack the divine beasts. Like we get a little bit of a taste of what you just described, where when you do an attack and then they banter along with you, and those were some of my favorite parts of the game. I want more of that.
Thank you. Okay, see, we are great. We are on the
same page.
Oh, it's great. So I would like more of that.
Yeah,
I would like to see.
It'd be a great.
A living world, whereas in Breath of the Wild, we talked about this earlier, all of the towns, villages are kind of destroyed. The only ones that are left is like Kakariko Village and some of the others, Zora's Domain. But you see in the cutscenes from the past memories, you see what Hyrule Castle Town looked like when like the Guardians are attacking it and shooting the lasers. And it looked like this huge, beautiful town that I would have loved to explore, like you do in Ocarina of Time. When you go into Kakariko Village, you go into everyone's house, talk to everyone, and it makes it feel like it's an actual town. In Ocarina of Time, there was the back alley to Hyrule Castle Town where you could like help the woman find her dog and some of the other stuff.
You can also find a soldier who dies in front of you.
Yeah.
How sweet.
Is this game rated E for everyone?
Yeah, that's like before you pull the Master Sword. But
yeah, and then you talk to him and...
Yeah, you talk to him and he like goes ... and dies.
Yeah, and then it's like, he's not moving anymore. That's what Navi says. He's not moving anymore.
Yeah. So
it's like, ah!
The cool thing is, like, if there would have been... Because there was like dozens and dozens of different destroyed villages. If there would have been like a dozen destroyed villages and then a dozen that are actually alive and have people in it, and it wasn't just like Kakariko Village and then the little camps where you can like the horse stables or whatever, because those were the only places that felt alive. So if there would have been just a lot more stuff, like don't give us Hyrule 100 years after it's been destroyed. Give us a Hyrule or something similar to Termina, to where like if you don't stop this from happening, it will be destroyed. That way you can still visit everything the way it was supposed to be. Because in Breath of the Wild, they still built what Hyrule Castle Town looked like. They designed the hundreds of houses that you can see in Hyrule Castle Town for those cutscenes, but you can't explore them. Even though they're there, they're created, someone could probably like hack the game to like put the models back into Hyrule Field, I guess. But like they exist.
But instead they give us Thomas the Train and Shrek.
Like the models and everything, like Nintendo put in the time to create Hyrule Castle Town in the memories. You can't explore it, and it's one of the things that I disliked the most about the game, because it's only ruins in the game. So give us like a real
guy
live
onto this.
city.
If the Mr. She Says who does Boundary Break ever watches this, this is your new mission, is to find, like, go into cutscenes and move the camera around and just, I want to see more of Castletown. That's, he's probably not going to watch this. He's a busy guy, but
that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think my choice would be, well, one thing kind of more to what you said, Pelvic, is when they revealed the champion amiibos, my thought was it was going to work similar to like the Wolf Link amiibo, where you can have a companion where you scan in one of the champions and
the trailer.
Yeah, I would love that. Like just to scan in my champion amiibos and have them tag along and fight with me. That would be so wicked. But you guys took the good answers. I want to pet the dogs.
Duo Master says
that's what I want.
Has been on Nate's podcast. It could happen. So there's a lot of older videos you can go back and watch where She Says was on the channel, but after he passed like 100,000 subscribers, he got too famous to come back on. So
he's too busy now.
Yeah.
He's right before I came on the podcast with you.
Please, Lady Pelvic, once your YouTube channel blows up, don't forget about us.
No, I don't forget those who helped you up. So No.
No.
I'm very grateful to be here.
Yeah. I'm going with petting dogs, guys.
Petting
That's
dogs.
what I want. I want to. You can do a lot. You can feed the dogs in Breath of the Wild, and I love that.
In what?
In Twilight
In Zelda?
Princess, you can. Sorry? In Breath of the Wild, the dogs, you can feed them.
Can you play fetch with Wolf Link? Like, you can throw
Yeah,
sticks
you can
and
feed the
stuff,
dog.
but like if
Yeah.
you throw a stick or something,
I don't know. Can you? I'm gonna try
will
it.
Wolf Link fetch after it and bring it back to you?
Will he?
I don't know. It seems like
I'm gonna try it.
like if you put down meat, Wolf Link will go to it and eat it.
Yeah,
So
he'll eat it.
if you throw a stick, it should be similar programming for him to like run after
Yeah.
it and come back.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would be
I'm just
cool
saying-
if like you're in the middle of a battle,
Because you
your
can
sword
in-
breaks, and then Wolf Link brings you another weapon, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll just
That
use
would be
this.
cool. In Mario Odyssey, you can play fetch with the dogs. You can't in Breath of the Wild with the dogs you find at the stables and stuff. But so I just want to. In Twilight Princess, you could pick up cats in the alley and pet them and stuff.
Nikolai,
I just want to love the animals.
Nikolai in the chat says Daniel is going places with those ideas.
Hell yeah! Like people, it doesn't matter how big your world is. You know, people just want to pet the dogs.
All right. So here's our final question. Retro gaming. Wait, what's it say? Hey Jesse, would you mind?
Retro?
DM some. Knock Fox.
Oh, he's sending nudes.
Hi, Retro.
Head over.
Hi, Retro. Send nudes.
So, Knock Fox. Go to Discord. There's a link in the description, and message me whatever you want to talk about on there. But our last question comes from Retro, which I'm going to change a little bit. He says, what would you think of a Breath of the Wild sequel or prequel? My question that I'm going to change it to is, which would you rather want? A Breath of the Wild prequel that either takes place the 100 years before Breath of the Wild when Link is on his initial journey and battling everything, or it could be a prequel that takes place during the first battle against Ganondorf, whenever the Divine Beasts are first created. And then the sequel obviously would just take place like maybe a year after Breath of the Wild, or 100 years, 20 years, like however long it would take. It doesn't really matter. You can decide. So it could be like Link right after Breath of the Wild, he and Zelda's trying to fix Hyrule, or it could be like, well, this place is saved, I'll head over here, and then he goes to Termina or like Kohiwan Island or like some other area. But yeah, would you rather want a sequel or prequel for Breath of the Wild?
Prequel. No contest. Prequel. Hands down. I want to know how my husband died, okay, or almost lost his life. Like I feel like that'd be so interesting to be like have a swarm similar to how they did it in Skyward Sword, where there's like a swarm of boblins or boblikins or whatever that Girahim unleashed on you.
Oh, yeah,
imagine like a swarm. Yeah, but imagine like a swarm of guardians, different types of guardians, the flying ones, the small ones, like with different weapons. I mean, I'm not even talking like the ones that were normally only limited, like restricted to temples, you know, the mini dungeons. They were outside, like just fighting a horde of those to get to Hyrule Castle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Seeing the tragedy take place, like literally have it essentially when the moon was falling in Majora's Mask, have the same like kind of demise be happening. You know, it wouldn't be as bad as the moon falling where it's just like instant KO, but literally you see towns getting like. I mean, I want this stuff dark. Like I want to see. Okay, maybe not this. You can't see someone being ripped in half by a guardian, but just like literally guardians trampling these people. You see mothers like picking up their child and running and bolting and just trying for dear life to say, like, see the towns that were originally destroyed. They're there. Like you see them. You can go through them. You can go through these people. How you could see like the family photos of just random NPCs. You could see like make it like really touching, where like whole like personal. You know, that would be awesome. And then you see like also all the champions. Like there would be like segments. Like you see Urbosa die. Oh, make it dramatic. Yeah, see each champion. I'm getting into this. See, have each champion watch them fall. Like you see the battle between Ollie and Windblight Ganon, you know, taking place, and you see Rivali get his ass kicked. You see Mipha die. You like watch every one of their deaths. Like you can't do anything about it. It's a cutscene. You're just like and I'm late, and then you run back. Like I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
if they gave me a I would pay for that.
The closest thing I can think to that is like in Ocarina of Time when like you save the Deku tree, but then he still ends up dying. It's like no matter what you do, you can't protect it. So there's something similar in Twilight Princess. After you collect all of the shards to make the mask or whatever, Zant comes and just kind of takes it away from you.
Yeah.
So what was it? Ocarina of Time, you get the 3 spiritual stones. Ganondorf comes and gets the Triforce anyways. And then he kind of takes over Hyrule. So if it would be something... Like, I think that's the closest that Nintendo's ever came to something like that, to where no matter what you do, there's still bad stuff playing out as part of the story. To whereas most Zelda games, like, you beat the water temple and then the water comes back to the lake, or you beat the forest temple and then all of the monsters are gone from Kakiri Forest. There's not really been one to where it's like, no matter what you do, it doesn't stop the negative stuff. So to play a Zelda game to where it's like, no matter what you do, it's just getting worse and worse, even though you're doing what you're supposed to, would be really cool.
Yeah. And
I'm sorry. You're so bad at this. Okay.
Every time.
Sorry. No, Nikolai Henkishva also actually wrote something really awesome in the chat. We already know what happened 100 years ago through the memories. I would be okay with a prequel that takes place 10,000 years before, though, and have the origin of the Sheikah tech. I think that's also a cool idea. Don't get me wrong. I still want to play through the 100 years ago, because the memories, they're just that. You're not playing through it. You're just looking at a cutscene. I want to get personal with it. But I do think the Sheikah, the origin of the Sheikah tech would be a bomb. That was a very good comment. So, okay, take the floor, Daniel. I'm done, I promise.
Daniel, you're taking us out on this, so be good.
I've mentioned before, I think, as well. But yeah, I'm on the prequel side as well, because with the sequel, like, you've already got your resolution, right? So it's like, the only thing that could really happen is they're going to rebuild Hyrule. And that's not really a fun Zelda game. So we want to, like, save Hyrule, not rebuild Hyrule. Otherwise, Link has to go somewhere else.
It'd be like Animal Crossing Hyrule Edition.
Yeah, like, which, hey, they made that game. I'd play that game. But I'm on Team Prequel as well. And what I really want, I think, I really like what you said about the game. The finale of the game is, like, your huge Guardian battle. And we see in that memory that Link... He was a freaking, like, he was Hala. Like, he took out tons of Guardians before they got him. And we see in one of the other memories, like, he took out a swarm of Bokoblins and Lynels on Death Mountain, like a ton of them, with not even a shield to parry with, because that's, like, my go-to move when I'm fighting in Breath of the Wild. So, like, he had, like, no shield, no bow, like, just the Master Sword, and he did all of this. So yeah, that's where the game ends. I love that idea. You just get over. It's like you could have this final battle that, like, literally just goes as long as you survive, and, like, there's, like, it'll just keep going until you die. That's how it ends. I would love that. So your final battle could be like 5 seconds long, and you die right away, or you could play it out and draw it out and just see how many Guardians you could take out until you die, like Tetris.
That'd be pretty cool. Kind of like a challenge
and
there.
Going and building up. Yeah. Yeah, and it just goes, like, builds up more and more until you're eventually overrun and you die. But how I would like to see the game play out as well, other than assembling your team of champions, is I want to know how Link earned the Master Sword in this game. I've mentioned it before, but in every Zelda game, Link has to go through something, earn the Master Sword somehow, like through usually 3 dungeons. And this Link, we just see that he had the Master Sword, but it doesn't explain how he got it or where he found it or what he did to get it. He's just the Hylian that has the sword that seals the darkness because he has it for some reason. So I love that game to start with. How did Link get the Master Sword? How did he earn it? And, you know, go from there. Then after that, he's got the Master Sword. We're building this team of champions because there's this prophecy. And then you have to go with Zelda and you assemble the team of champions, just like in the memories for the DLC. And then you accompany Zelda to all the different springs, and then those could be almost like your dungeons too, because getting to those areas in Breath of the Wild is not easy. Getting to the different springs are all pretty well protected, right? So, yeah, this could be basically Hela. This could be a very good prequel if they ever made it. I don't think they will. They're not going to. But
I don't think so either.
Dream game.
Not happen either. Really quick. Duo Master says, I mean, obviously towns would still be there, but terrain can't change that much in 100 years. He isn't familiar with Nintendo, to where Nintendo says that in every Zelda game, the reason that Lake Hylia and some of the other areas, like in Ocarina of Time, you have Lake Hylia, Twilight Princess, you have Lake Hylia, Breath of the Wild, you have Lake Hylia. It's the same location, but every single time it's located in a different spot on the map. It's changed, it's gotten bigger, shrunk, monuments, different aspects, like things that you would find there are very different. Kakariko Village, Hyrule Castle, they all go through the same thing, where like in real life you would expect it, like even if you go somewhere and come back 1,000 years later, like there's castles and stuff that are that old. So it's like you wouldn't expect too much of a difference, but Nintendo says from game to game they change it, because if Hyrule was the same every single time, it would be boring. So the reason Lake Hylia is suddenly a lot bigger in Twilight Princess isn't due to anything like in lore, it's just they think it's more fun to have it different, which is why in one game like Kakariko Village is like east of Lake Hylia, but then in another game it's south, or like it just changes because Nintendo wants to. The only time we've revisited the same Hyrule was A Link Between Worlds and A Link to the Past. Like that was the same version of Hyrule.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I think that only happened because that game started as a remake of A Link to the Past, and then they just changed it over time. So, yeah.
All right, I guess Salsa Spartan says, "Make Hyrule great again." Hashtag. So that brings us to the very end of the podcast. Thank you all for watching. If you want to help out the podcast or have your questions or topics take priority, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse. And Lady Pelvic, who are you and why should everybody care about you?
Oh, I was like, these are really intense questions. Who am I? I'm a girl who sits in the room and plays video games all the time and then talks about it to a camera. So it's a very lonely life. No, but I review games, do top fives.
Do you
kind of
ever
goofy.
have to deal with the people that's like, oh, girls can't be gamers?
No, I have not run into that. I have a blessed fan base. Everyone's like really supportive, have just been very like, yo, you're awesome. You know what you're talking about. You don't try to use your body for views. You don't try too hard. Like you're just you. You come off really natural. You have great screen presence. I'm not trying to like build myself up here. It's just like contrary to how that sounded. Though. But it was just nice to
use mine for. It doesn't really work. So
yeah, like everyone's just been really supportive of me. Yeah, I got. But yeah, so definitely check me out if you like me on this podcast.
Al in the chat says, "Is she single? We can play Nintendo games together."
Hell yeah! Oh my goodness, as long as you're 18 and up.
All right, so where can people find you? You already let us know what they can expect on your channel. So for the last time, if people are interested, could they find you on YouTube, Twitter, future Discord?
Yes, future Discord. No, for sure, YouTube is the best. Awesome. YouTube, Pelvic Gaming. On Twitter, I'm always on there. It's all connected to my phone. All the notifications blow up. So, Lady Pelvic on Twitter. Facebook, it's Pelvic Gaming. Instagram, it's Lady Pelvic. It just kind of goes back and forth. So, I promise you. When you do look up Pelvic Gaming on reasons. So, find me.
And how many subscribers do you have right now? Do you know?
I have like 5,482.
How did it feel for you when you first passed like 5,000 or 1,000?
Amazing. I felt like I was going places. I was like, woo, look at me. I'm professional. You know?
Yeah. Like after every time I would
it felt so good that people are sharing and commenting and
every time I pass a certain milestone, I'm always like, am I a real YouTuber now? Like when I first passed 5,000 or 10,000 or something. But yeah. So
but the answer is still no.
Yeah,
He's
I don't.
not.
I don't like the term YouTuber, because when I think of YouTuber, I think of like there's a lot of people that'll record different takes for their reaction videos, and then they'll post the one that they think they did the best in, or they'll, like, the example I always use is like someone will be live streaming playing Ocarina of Time, and that little trail that leads from Kokiri Forest to the Deku Tree where the 3 Deku Babas pop up, like, they'll know it's coming. Like, everyone knows that there's the Deku Babas there, but they'll be like, oh my god, what's that? It's attacking me. And then they'll be like screaming and yelling at the camera, and it's like, no, that's not how you really play games. Like, the way you described, maybe you play games like that with scary games, but like...
Maybe. I actually do. It's not even a joke. Yeah, that's not...
Typical people aren't going to be like screaming at the camera when they find a compass in a dungeon. Like, no one gets excited about finding the compass. So
no.
That's why I don't like the term YouTuber, but that's just me.
No, in fact, oh, okay. Well, what would you, content creator?
I don't know what
official
the right
Zelda
word would be. I just like say like I make YouTube videos, but I don't refer to myself as a YouTuber. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
What about you, Daniel? Where can people find you if they want to date you and play Nintendo with you?
Well, if you want to date me, I'm off the market. Sorry, fellas, ladies, and others. You can follow me on Twitter at CaptBurgerson, though. I have a website that's still under construction, but you can go check it out anyways. It's burgersonmedia.com.
Where it's all about cheeseburger reviews.
It's not.
I actually got a little excited. I'm a little upset it's not. Not gonna lie.
I talk about video games, but
how lame.
I'm just a Canadian boy who likes video games. So.
Okay, I have actually watched one cheeseburger review. When I think it was Burger King in Japan had the all black Whopper burger, to where like they had squid ink or something in the bun, so like the bun looked black. They had some weird black cheese and black burger and everything. So like that caught my attention enough to where when I seen IGN posted a video about it, I was like, this is interesting. An all black cheeseburger.
Wow.
Like, what does squid ink taste like? Why would someone put that?
I don't know.
Huh.
Well,
I'd try it.
Yeah. I go with Burgerson not because I like burgers like just that much, but also I guess my last name is Ferguson, and I was introducing myself to someone, and then he misheard me. He thought I said Burgerson, and I just loved it. I was like, Burgerson. I'm using that from now on, so it was a total mistake.
Duo Master, on you not doing cheeseburger reviews, I believe, said my disappointment is immeasurable and my day's ruined.
Oh, well, I mean, I'll consider starting, I guess, but, I feel like just cheeseburgers is really limiting yourself. You've got to include all sorts of things, really. Like
chicken burgers and turkey burgers and steak burgers.
Burgers with 2 patties, burgers with bacon, whatever you want. The world is your burger oyster.
Patty.
Exactly, whatever you want, man.
So good. All right, we need to stop talking. I'm starving now.
Anyway,
all this burger talk's actually making me hungry.
That's not what I make videos about. You can check out the videos I do work on at NSHG Films on YouTube, which is sort of a collab group between several people who post videos there. Myself included, and mostly my website. I also host a podcast called the Highlands Games Cast with a good friend of mine, Game Over Jesse.
We never use the name of the podcast, though. Like, we never actually say it.
Yeah, we don't. We did at the beginning. We just start calling it the podcast. So, Supposedly it's on iTunes. I think only one episode is. We've been
Yeah.
really bad about that. Yep. I also edit videos sometimes for some people, and you
I
can
think
find things
I will
that I
start
do on.
this will be like episode 2 that goes on iTunes. So
Oh.
I should really start doing
Just
that
start like
again.
backdating them. We've got some great Q&A segments, so just gotta just upload a whole bunch in one go. But yeah, anyways, you can just go on Jesse's Discord, message me, say, Daniel, I want to watch something you did. I want to listen to your sweet, sultry voice, and then I will message you back and
What
give
kind
you
of
a link
burger
to
do
something.
you recommend?
I would recommend a Super Metroid burger.
A Super Metroid burger? What?
Yes. Yeah, it's a little bit squishy.
I don't know how to feel about that.
But it's larger than you expect, so.
All right. Well, thank you, Daniel.
But I don't want a
Thank you,
larger squishy burger.
Thank you,
Thank
Jesse, for
you.
co-hosting.
Yeah, thank you, Lady Pelvic, for coming on very last minute.
And for being my best friend.
Thank you. For having- yes. Friendship.
Yeah.
And everybody watching, please go over and check out Pelvic Gaming, Lady Pelvic on Twitter, and she also has the second channel, the Let's Play channel as well. So go check that out as well. All right.
Yes.
And with,
Please and thank you.
yes, and with that, we're out. Give a final message for everyone to take us out, Lady Pelvic.
Oh.
Where does the name
Bruce
Lady
sucks
Pelvic come
from Skyward Sword.
Where does
Oh,
that name
dang
come
it.
from? Sorry, I want to know.
That was such a good ending. Like, screw Bruce.
I actually have-
It's fine. All right.
I have a friend
okay.
who's going to be on the podcast eventually. He was on an old interview that I had with him, but he used to work at Nintendo, and he was the one who came up with the name Groose for the character in Skyward Sword. So
It's not the name I have a problem with. It's his look. God, he's so awful to look at.
Like-
He was hitting on Zelda when Link was trying to put on the moves. Like,
yeah, he
rude.
he reminds me of like Biff Tannen from Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah. He's a total biff.
Yeah.
But also, Zelda was the one
I-
putting the moves on Link. I'm just putting it out there. You watch that?
You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
She likey.
She did.
Yeah,
But
so,
okay, the name Lady Pelvic has nothing to do with gaming. It's just when I was younger, I wanted to be an archaeologist, and I really like the idea of uncovering bones. And I thought the pelvis was the most unique looking bone ever.
it's like a
So
butterfly.
it just kind of stuck with me. Yeah, it's this weird looking shape, and like I also draw, so I always like drew the pelvis. Like
You could probably
different.
come across
Just like
someone's fossilized pelvis and be like, hey, it's a giant fossilized monster butterfly. I don't know.
something
Sure,
like
man.
that.
All right.
Just remember, because if you're
But-
searching Lady Pelvic, really
Yeah,
watch your searches.
That's
please.
literally it. Nothing exciting. Sorry.
All right. Well,
So
again, thank you all for joining. Everyone, go check out Daniel's stuff. Check out my stuff if you want, since you're already here, and check out Lady Pelvic Gaming. Pelvic Gaming on YouTube, and then Lady Pelvic on Twitter, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So there you
10
go.
10. Oh,
And,
thank you.
yeah, Groose.
And goodbye.
Remember, Groose sucks.
Screw Bruce.
Oh yeah, Guru sucks. Thank you.
Boo. Boo on the Groose.